Found dead in Goa, India on March 13th, 2017. Vikat Bhagat has been in custody since 2017. He was subsequently charged with her murder. His trial has been ongoing now for over 4 years. Earlier this week, he was denied bail following the death of his father, but the High Court has now granted bail on humanitarian grounds, allowing him to attend and to perform the last rites of his father on next Friday and Saturday, November 25th and 26th. There's a security alert in Strabane this morning. Police are in attendance in the Mount Carmel Heights area of the town. The road is currently closed. Motorists are advised to avoid the area. Police say at the moment no homes have been evacuated. Politicians, officials and business representatives from Donegal, Derry and Strabane are in Boston today for the Golden Bridges Conference, the first in-person event there since 2019. The event has become one of the most important networking events for the Northwest region. With more detail, here's Emma Ryan.
The Golden Bridges Transatlantic Conference provides a platform to showcase the very best of the Northwest to an influential Irish-American business audience. 6 cross-border companies are this year participating in the 2022 trade mission, representing technology, biotech, food and drink, creative industries and sportswear manufacturing. They are part of a delegation led by Donegal County Council and Derry City and Strabane District Council and a wide range of partners. The companies are Alchemy, Seatrick, Wild Atlantic Distillery, McDaid, FitPink and O'Reilly's. The event will also feature a range of speakers and delegates from the US, the Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland who will discuss themes of investment, innovation, tourism, culture and education. Cahirlock of Donegal County Council, Councillor Liam Blaney, believes the Golden Bridges event will allow for renewed linkages between the northwest of Ireland and Boston.
A West Donegal councillor fears there will be a serious accident in Loughnure unless safety measures are put in place to slow down traffic. Councillor Micheál Cullimagalaspug says there need to be traffic calming measures on the main street as traffic travels through the village at high speeds. He says local residents are justifiably concerned.
The community there would talk to me on a very regular basis about the concerns in terms of the speed going through Loughnure. Unfortunately, but fortunately in the sense that we have a new road there and a good cover on the road, and that increases the speed through the village. But we need to get measures into the village to slow traffic right down. It is unfair on the people of Loughnure to have to be scared out of their wits every time that they're out walking or their kids are walking to anywhere in the village and fear of anything happening.
A junior minister says a public awareness campaign on spiking would raise awareness of the offence and also the punishment that's carried with it. Spiking someone's drink or by needle can result in a 3-year prison term. Of the 147 reported incidents of spiking nationally since January 2021, 60 were needle related, 66 were drink related. Junior Minister Josepha Madigan says it's vital people keep an eye out for spiking as people celebrate over Christmas and New Year.
It's really important that we have an information campaign that could encourage vigilance among people working in the nightlife industry, in An Garda Síochána, and the general public of the dangers and the signs of spiking. So some of the signs will be somebody might be unusually drunk, their vision might be blurred, or they feel dizzy or nauseous. They might have difficulty speaking or keeping their balance.
Well, the forecast mostly bright and dry with good sunny spells today. Top temperature 7 to 9 degrees Celsius, moderate to fresh west to northwest breezes. And that's Highland Radio News. Back with news again at 10 o'clock.
Hello, this is Liz O'Donnell, Chairperson of the Road Safety Authority. I want to share with you some serious road safety figures. Last month, there were 12,546 drivers detected for speeding and 727 drivers arrested for driving under the influence. But what I'm most concerned about are the 12 people who died and the 79 people seriously injured on our roads in October. That's 12 people who are no longer with their friends or family and 79 people whose lives may be changed forever. Help us stop such needless loss of life and injury. I'm asking drivers to slow down and never ever drink or drug drive. Visit rsa.ie.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering MyCU current account and debit MasterCard, bringing full banking features, delivered with the same local trustworthy service of your credit union. And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest. The 9 to Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello and a very good morning to you. It is 5 minutes past 9. It's the 9 to Noon Show for this Friday, the 18th of November. And I hope you're very well indeed. Coming up after 10 o'clock, just to let you know early on, Seamus Gunn will be in studio with us, or on the programme with us at least, answering your legal questions. If you want to get involved in that conversation, or indeed the conversation over the next hour with our Friday panel, then the numbers for you to WhatsApp or text 086 60 25,000, or give us a call if you prefer on 074 91 25,000. And you can watch all of today's shows, you can every single day, on YouTube, Highland Radio Ireland, across our Facebook pages, or on our website. Just click Watch Live. Right, good morning, Suzanne Rogers, Journalism Course Director at Northwest Regional College. Good to have you with us. How are you getting on, Suzanne?
Good morning. Very well on this cold and foggy morning.
It is indeed.
It's a nasty morning in Derry. I don't know what Donegal's like, but no, it's not one for going out today, I'm afraid.
I like the honesty and the freshness of cold, frosty weather. You know, there's no surprises with it. You just have to be careful on the roads. But other than that, you know what you're getting. That being said, it's got so bloody expensive to heat your house. The temperature now takes on a whole different meaning. You know, you start wondering, well, how long will I have to keep my heating on for today, especially in older drafty houses?
Absolutely right. And I mean, it's been a major talking point for domestically for people, but also for businesses here in the Northwest as well. And I've just noticed, it was pointed out to me, and then I started noticing it going into shops and looking that every other light is turned off. Because businesses are just seeing such a jump in their heating costs, their lighting costs, their utilities. And of course, that's affecting us all at the till as well.
Yeah, for
so
sure.
yeah, it's going to be a tough few months for people. We were just getting word through yesterday about some support totaling about £600 for all households in the north. That is going to come through to help with those sort of heating bills. So hopefully that'll help those people, particularly who are not working or who are maybe on low wages and are struggling.
Yeah, and what's there for businesses, because they are the lifeblood of a community as well. Mary Hart, good morning to you. Thanks so much for joining us as always. Broadcaster and journalist, of course. Good to have you on the programme.
Good morning. How are you?
Fantastic,
Very
thank you.
beautiful morning. I'm looking out at the lovely clear sky in Donegal.
Exactly.
I can wrap up warm and head out. So the cold at the minute doesn't bother me.
Well, I'm a cold cretter, so I try and avoid the outdoors. And last but not least, Senator Niall Blaney of Fianna Fáil. Good morning to you, Senator. Thanks for joining us. How are you keeping?
Morning, Greg. Keeping very well.
Good stuff. Good to have you with us. Right, lots to get through this morning. I suppose there's a major conference in Donegal this week. A huge sort of international flavour to it as well. People coming from the Nordic countries, Canada, from the United States to discuss defective concrete materials. Did you get an opportunity now to engage with much of it? So I wonder if your views changed in any regard as a result of it?
No, I haven't been here at all, Greg. I spent a fair bit this week in London on a cross-party delegation in relation to legacy issues and the protocol. I haven't been near it, but the one thing I will say, and I've said it when we were having our day of hearings in the Oireachtas as well, that anybody that has information in relation to the effective concrete blocks or indeed foundations, we would again ask them to forward that on to the review that's taking place in relation to all these things that's been carried out under the NSAI. It's really important that academics, if they have information that's not already in the hands of those that are investigating this, it's really important they do get it.
It'd be do you think that traffic should be going in the other direction, though, that people that are having to make a decision would actually seek out worldwide experts on certain issues to ensure that their decisions are fully informed?
Absolutely, and as I know, they're doing that, but there have been claims made at hearings and otherwise in relation to foundations by academics that haven't been backed up. The requests were made by those individuals at the day of the hearing, and that information be passed on and shared, and that hasn't happened, unfortunately.
Mary Hart, another thing that came out of that conference, so it was more the programme before the conference, is that the government is not at this time, I think we're all aware that there are many people who are, their houses whilst maybe not about to collapse on top of them, though we don't know that, they're very cold. There's an awful lot of black mold. People are finding their health being affected, and of course this has an impact on their mental health. But they need to get out of these houses, and one of the things that's been suggested in this county for a long time is modular homes. But the government's ruled that out. They're saying that they're not looking at that as an option to address the housing crisis in Donegal, exacerbated by the mica problem. Are you surprised at that, disappointed at that announcement, that sort of stance from government?
Well, I have a duplicity on this one, because I sort of feel like if you have a modular home, you could be left in it for the next 20 years. And I can just see, the prefabs of secondary schools. And in my day, a school almost became a whole complex of porta cabins. So there is the risk that if you go down that road, that you could end up with a family living there for a long time.
Okay, but just on that
pressure
point,
being
Mary,
taken off.
just on that, Marion, just because it's important for clarity, it's not to contradict or interrupt you. The alternative offered was a mobile home on site, okay, which is not as good as a modular home. So in other words, that's what Mr. O'Connor suggested. No modular homes, but hey, you can get a caravan perhaps. So,
yeah, well, I mean, both. Well, I don't know what the difference is between the two of them. Perhaps a certain standard, but a cost is probably the driving factor in that. I mean, this is an issue that is so serious. I know several families close to me here in Rafo who have their homes have been seriously affected, and you do see the house; it's full of damp. The windows are all fogged up. At this time of the year, it's probably almost impossible to heat a home that has defective brickwork in it. And, we've just seen the horrific issue of the death of a young toddler in London of molds just from breathing it in. Who's to say that this isn't also going to be a very serious health hazard? It's just a very serious disaster, and of course Donegal, being probably the most affected county, is the one place that we really need to look very seriously at it. I can't really answer the issue on the modular homes, because I really don't think that. I think the issue is that there should be houses built and people put into them, but we're going down a road that'll not. That's idealistic. It's
well, we
not
have to
happen.
come up with something, because we've got houses that are currently becoming unlivable. We have no houses available in the community. We've got people who need to leave these houses because of their poor health, and there is no alternative. So in that scenario, you look up and you look to your government for alternatives, and one which seems to have a consensus amongst those that are affected is that modular homes which people can move into, and then someone else can move into them when they can move back into their own homes. That's a solution. It's a solution we're employing elsewhere in the country, obviously, to fulfill our commitments, the rightful commitments to look after refugees. So why can't we do similar here? That's what people are feeling.
If it's the better alternative of the two, or of nothing, yes, I would absolutely agree that it should happen. But you mentioned going to the government. Yes, the government, but Donegal County Council has a huge part and role to play in this. They're in charge of housing in the county, and as far as I can understand, there isn't even a one-stop office or shop that people who have a pile of forms and a pile of advice needed, they have nowhere to go. And I don't know if this morning, if I discovered that there was a mica in my home, where would I go? Who would I turn to? Who do I get the advice from? And I think Donegal County Council are shirking in the responsibility for this very seriously, because at the end of the day, if they'd been doing their job properly and had inspected all of the different quantities of bricks and blocks that were made, then this would never have happened. So I know this is going to be a big, serious legal issue coming forward now. But I mean, that's something that certainly that Donegal County Council should be pushed as to do something immediately.
Yeah, Suzanne, it's a problem in Donegal. It's a problem in 13 other counties, and we know now it's really beginning just to become a problem in Derry from a public awareness perspective.
That's right. Just the first case was confirmed there. Let's be realistic here. Why have the government been dragging their heels on this? And it's simply, as far as I can see, because it's a much bigger problem than even has emerged so far. And the fear is, I believe, that if they give 100% redress to those homeowners in Donegal, then that's going to have to continue elsewhere. They can't make another case. We know that it's in Sligo, we know it's in Mayo. The likelihood is that it's throughout the country. And I think that's why they've been dragging their heels. I mean, the first effective blocks were found in 2011. That's 11 years ago. It took 6 years for an expert panel to be convened to look at this. And 5 years on from that, you're still seeing people sitting with their homes crumbling around them. They're in fear for themselves and for their families. As Mary rightly says, we had that incident, a shocking incident in Rochdale, where a 2-year-old child in a flat was found to have mold in their lungs because of condensation and because of the conditions they were living in. I too do not think that modular homes are the answer to this, because I'm old enough to remember and to have reported on in Donegal many years ago on the old demountable dwellings, which were supposed to be the answer to everything. They were a blight on the landscape. People were put into them and they were simply forgotten. And it looks to me like the powers that be are just casting around for any kind of solution to this to make it almost go away, when what they need to be doing is biting the bullet and offering that 100% redress that people are looking for. Because if you look on the council website, the maximum amount that they're paying is €247,500, but that's 90%, that's maximum. And householders are going to have to find €27,500 themselves on top of the €5,000 to €6,000 that they have to pay in order to get their homes tested. I mean, they might know, they might be able to visually tell that the house has got mica, but they have to have that. And I don't know very many people, particularly, we started off talking about the cost of living, particularly these days, who have got in excess of £30,000 sitting there for a house that they've already paid for.
And that's the 90-10 scheme we quoted there. There is an enhanced scheme with higher limits, hopefully coming in early next year. And also there's big groups of people, like older people, for instance, who have no access to credit. Niall Blaney, what's your views on the calls for a response along the lines of modular homes to try and address this housing emergency we have here?
Yeah, well, the housing emergency is a difficult one, Greg. I too am not pushed on the modular homes. I would rather see more money made available for external garages and walls that are not part of the new 100% scheme, which hopefully will be announced before this year's out. I suppose the thing we have to remember is this is going to probably roll out over a 10-year period, so we're not going to have a massive amount of people looking for housing at all the one time. But there is an issue, and you would hope that families maybe will help out. It's not one I thought through my head.
So what do you mean when you hope family? You mean when you say families will help out, you're saying that relatives of those in these houses might allow the people that live in those houses to live with them? You think that's a solution?
Well, I know in the case of my family, that's the thoughts at the moment, and some others that I'm aware of. Some are renting. When the new scheme is announced, there's €15,000 available, being made available towards the cost of rent. And I suppose, like, this scheme has evolved, Greg, we'll maybe have to see on the ground how it's working, and if there are cases, and probably no doubt there will be cases of whereby something has to be done, then we may have to revisit it. At this stage, there are no plans, and let's be honest about it. But moreover, the more important thing is to get the scheme announced before the year's out.
Yeah, okay. Right, okay, thank you for that, Niall. That's Senator Niall Blaney there. You also heard the views of Mary Hart, Suzanne Rogers also. 08660 25,000. Your thoughts via text and WhatsApp. We'll have more from our guests after we take a short break.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Seasonal loans now available for Christmas. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
At Cherrymore Kitchens and Bedrooms, we are now operating out of one new state-of-the-art showroom in Donegal Town. And we invite you to visit our new 5,000 square foot Donegal Town showroom to discover the latest eye-catching designs. Remember, at Cherrymore, you're dealing directly with the manufacturer, which means high-quality kitchens at factory prices. Start planning your dream kitchen or bedroom by calling Cherrymore on 074 9725 822. Cherrymore, 25 years delivering value, quality and service all over Ireland.
If you're a business owner wondering what to get your staff for Christmas, Kelly Centra in Letterkenny have great hampers to suit all budgets. Luxury hampers are a speciality, with delivery available. Also vouchers for Kelly's award-winning diner or Circle K fuel at the forecourt. Get Christmas sorted for your staff now at Kelly Centra, Mountain Top, Letterkenny. Call 91 22026.
Are you tired of paying interest on your car loan? Brown's Cars Milford has it covered. Visit their 231 event this Saturday and Sunday from 11 to 4 and order your brand new Suzuki with 0% interest. That's right, secure your 231 Suzuki at 0% interest this Saturday and Sunday at Brown's Cars Milford, your main Suzuki dealer in Donegal.
Call in to Meehan's of Refoe for top brands such as Diesel, Wrangler, Remus, Kingpin and Outrage jeans. There's slim, straight and bootcut jeans from €35. Also men's shirts and polo shirts in sizes up to 6XL. Plus a large range of Diesel hoodies, half zips and body warmers at Meehan's of Refoe. Christmas Club now open.
Have you got a one-for-all gift card that you've yet to spend? Now is the perfect time. Go and treat yourself in any of the 12,000 one-for-all retail partners before December 31st and you could win €10,000 in cash. Pennies, Argos, IKEA, Currys, TK Maxx and many more. Simply spend your gift card and visit oneforall.ie/win for your chance to win. Terms and conditions apply. The One for All gift card is issued by GVS Prepaid Europe Limited. GVS Prepaid Europe Limited is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Check out these special offers at Simpson Supermarket, Letterkenny. Dairy Gold 454 gram, €2.50. Chicago Town takeaway pizzas, €4. 7-Up 2 litre, 2 for €2.50. Nicky toilet roll 16 pack, €4.50. Dolmio original 500 gram, 2 for €3. Simpsons are now taking orders for your Christmas turkey. Join our Christmas club and spread the cost over the next few weeks. Ask any staff member for details. While there, check out Peggy's Kitchen Cafe for great food, tea and coffee. Only 2 minutes from Letterkenny Hospital. Simpson Supermarket. Great value every day.
Now, Russian Ambassador Yuri Filatov has been told that the Kremlin's announcement that 52 Irish politicians have been banned from travelling to his country is absolutely unacceptable. Taoiseach Micheál Martin described the Russian move as a form of hybrid warfare, though Mr. Filatov will remain in Ireland. Senator Noel Blaney, were you on the list?
I got a call last night, Greg, from the Department of Foreign Affairs to inform me that I was on. I had a right chuckle at it, to say the least.
What did you do to upset the Russians, Niall?
Not very much. I stood alongside the Ukrainian ambassador and I spoke up on it back earlier this year. So that's what I amounted to. But moreover, in relation to the ambassador, I suppose the easiest thing to do is react to this and get rid of him. But some of the reaction to my social media post last night, one in particular from somebody who's still living in Russia, thanking me that I was taking the stance that it's too easy to get rid of the Russian ambassador and they then in turn get rid of our ambassador in Russia. And for the sake of those Irish citizens that are still in Russia, I think it's important to keep diplomatic doors open, albeit strained they are, Greg, but you have some hope when you have a door open and be able to talk to them. When you, I suppose, push the button and show them the exit door, you don't have any form of return.
I mean, there's some of your government colleagues have called for that, Neil Richmond amongst them. Not well thought out, is it, considering there are many Russian citizens in Ireland as well,
Absolutely, yeah.
as well as vice versa. I mean, maybe politicians sometimes need to take a moment to think before proclaiming.
Yeah, in this case, it's too serious to jump to conclusions and be populist about it. It's a time for steady heads and being smart.
Mary Hart, what's your views on it? I mean, obviously, in real terms, what does it matter? But in terms of the Irish government's response, do you think the decision to sort of not ask the Russian ambassador to leave is the right one?
No, I don't. I think the Russian ambassador should have been shown the door, should have been called in and told that we were actually expelling the Russian ambassador and his 70 staff. Why in the name of God they need 70 staff in Ireland is beyond me. I don't, as the rest of the world, don't trust Russia one tiny bit, and having a diplomatic service in Ireland is going to absolutely add nothing. And as far as we're led to believe, and I have no reason to doubt it, that it's an ideal position for monitoring, for watching, for, as we know now, have a list. So they've obviously been watching closely, and that's what they're doing. So the Russians are no strangers to the spy game. And let's put it another way. If we were living in the Nazi era and Hitler when invaded Poland, would we be keeping the German ambassador in Ireland when we would know what was going on? In other words,
I tend to try and avoid
hospitals, schools, civilians, torture, as we've known this week.
I don't know the answer.
And I do not for the life of me see why that why there should be an ambassador to Russia sitting in Ireland to do what? Do what?
Yeah, I think that's kind of in the Godwin's law territory there, but just staying in this moment, I mean, we are supposedly neutral. We have Russian citizens here. We have Irish citizens in Russia. What is our advantage in expelling the Russian diplomats?
Well, it is showing that we are not happy at all with how Russia has been handling the situation and invading, elbowing out another country that they have absolutely no right to do. Being neutral is not what Ireland is. There's no point in saying we are, because we're right smack in the middle of allying ourselves with every other country in the world who's not neutral. And as I heard Simon Coveney say this morning, Ireland is not neutral. They have taken a stand. They are pro-Ukrainian and they are anti-Russian. So we're not neutral. So that doesn't satisfy anyone. That we're not in NATO is another whole ball game. And let's look very, very cynically at what happened when the Russian vessels were setting off the coast of Ireland, and people were giving out about it and paying little attention to, thinking it's not too serious. And the fishermen coming in and being brought into the embassy and appeased, saying, "Oh, don't worry, your fish won't be affected by this." And they came out saying, "Oh, we're quite happy." Now we know that the chances are that what they were doing was setting themselves up to look at how they could actually attack Europe. This is just before they actually invaded the other side of Europe, Ukraine. So they can't be trusted. And I, like Niall Blaney, might now end up on their list. So if I do, then I know they're listening to Highland Radio and anybody else that's going to be criticising them.
Niall,
I don't care if I'm on the list. I'd actually, but wouldn't mind being on the list.
Yeah, I mean, it seems some politicians are wearing it as a badge of honour. There's no need to tell the public you are, but people have decided to do so, and maybe they're playing with it too. And that is the level of importance they hold in. It's up to every individual to do what they want. I'm not criticising anyone. Before I bring Suzanne in, though, your view is very different to that of Niall Blaney's. Niall, has Mary Hart's argument changed your view at all?
No, it hasn't. Like, I understand and know how they can't be trusted. But the point for me, and I understand people that feel the way Mary does, the point for me is that once you decide to do that, there's no way back. When you get a phone call from a loved one to say that from a constituent to say my loved one is trapped in Russia, what do? Your hands are tied behind your back at that stage. You don't have any inroads. You might say, well, sure, you have no chance to get them back anyway. But if the lines of communication are open, there's some chance. You still
I don't think the Russians paying one blind bit of attention to anything Ireland would say or anybody.
Well, they're paying enough attention to sanction 52 people, Mary. They did. They're paying enough attention. Yeah.
I mean, they have kept, as we know, businessmen in Russia and held up or holed up in a hotel. So having an embassy here and dealing with them diplomatically, that doesn't.
Could I put it another way, Mary? Could I put it to you like this? I think it would actually suit Russia to have the embassies in Russia out of there, because they're not trusting us either. And I think this is to make us move and expel the ambassador. I don't think he's that comfortable here at this stage. And would give them the opportunity to expel ours as well, and similarly with other countries. And I don't think we should afford them that opportunity.
So they're looking for Ireland to make the first move, then, is what you're saying. Suzanne, you've heard Mary and Niall's views there. What's your views?
I would tend towards Niall's point of view, and I was just going to say that, I think, look, there's nobody in the Kremlin that's too worried about what's going on in Ireland. We are militarily neutral, we're not politically neutral, and I think that's the point that has been made.
Just in relation to that point, before you go on to the wider point, though, is that not something you really would need to poll the general public on? You know, when you hear a statement saying, you know, we're neutral that way, but we are not this way. Is that not something that we really need to sort of know what the view of the public is? I mean, a lot of people would say, well, really? Can I have a say in this? Do I have an opinion? Not to say that all of a sudden we've become anti-Ukraine and pro-Russia. I don't mean that. But what I'm saying is that, you know, I mean, I'm not sure anyone voted in the last election to give a government a mandate to make that statement as bold as it's being made.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm quoting Micheál Martin, who is saying that. And Ireland's neutrality is something that we have guarded, albeit I don't know how seriously aligned to it we are insofar as we are politically not neutral. And I certainly haven't heard any dissenting voices in the support for Ukraine. So I suppose if you're taking a straw poll like that, it's reasonable to assume that the vast majority of people are happy enough with that situation. I don't think it's going to be an issue that's burning in people's minds and hearts at the minute. Just to go on to the wider point, you know, I think Niall is right. I think this is provocation to see whether we will throw out the ambassador here to allow Russia then to do exactly the same thing. And there's two things there. Of course, there are the Irish citizens who may be living in Russia and who need some degree of protection from the Irish government. And also we know that Russia is very news hungry, information hungry at all times. So to have those channels open there so that the temperature in Ireland can be taken, the political temperature can be taken and really back to Moscow, I think is quite important as well. At the end of the day, I don't think it matters to Moscow what Ireland thinks, particularly as we're not a member of NATO. So I would rather be in there. I think we should be in there, seeing what's going on, having eyes and ears in Moscow, sorry, not in the Kremlin, having eyes and ears in Moscow, acting on behalf of Irish people and also relaying back what Irish people think and what the temperature is. And don't forget too, we've taken a huge number of Ukrainian refugees into Ireland. And so for that reason, I think we may have appeared on the radar. And yes, congratulations, Niall, for being on that list. It is being regarded as a badge of honour. We have so many Ukrainian refugees who are here and who need to know what the thinking is in Moscow as well. And we need to know what the thinking is. So I would not be in favour at this point. I think the impact of doing it would be negative to Ireland and would have absolutely no impact on the Kremlin whatsoever.
Being negative to Ireland has nothing to do with anything, because Ireland actually is, as you know, we all know, has been accused of kind of sitting in the middle ground by the Ukrainian president and not actually doing a lot. We do a lot. We have Ukrainian refugees and a sizable number for the size of our country. However, do you not think that surely the embassy are watching every single Ukrainian refugee who's coming into Ireland, following and finding out who they are, so that whenever their families are in Russia or whenever they are when they're in Ukraine, that they know exactly who has managed to get into Ireland and who they are? I mean, you'd be very, very naive to think they're not doing that. That the staff are sitting there just reading the newspapers every day and being nice to each other and being nice to the Irish. They don't give a fiddlers about Ireland, and for that reason, I don't see any reason why we should be allowing an embassy in Ireland to monitor us, watch us, and watch the Ukrainian refugees.
Of course they're monitoring, and of course they're doing it, and we can't stop that. And no matter where those refugees went, that would be happening. We can't stop that. But Ireland is punching above its weight in terms of taking people in and making provision for those refugees. And I, for one, am very proud of that. We are politically neutral, or not militarily neutral, so there's not much else we can do except open our doors and make people welcome. We know that they're
we're militarily neutral only if not threatened or under attack.
Well, it's also when it suits us. We did, of course, allow a corridor across South Donegal during the Second World War to make it easier for bombers and what have you. So, I mean, we are kind of a la carte in terms of our neutrality. Niall, obviously, you know, I think the strategy as well in selecting the politicians was to sort of, you know, not really go after the opposition as such, but go more towards the government parties with a hope, presumably, that in some way would sow some sort of a debate whereby, you know, the opposition could be seen as pro-Russian and the government parties as anti-Russian. I mean, there is an element to that. There is a strategy to that as well, but it seems that no one's taken the bait on that one.
Yeah, well, I suppose it's to have the most impact on the government. I think that's what it's designed to do, because the government will be taking the decision at the end of the day. And yeah, it hasn't worked, and it shouldn't work. As I said earlier, I think it's time for calm heads and to be smart about it. And I get what Mary is saying. You know, you mightn't be able to do very much if somebody is trapped over there, but you know, when you're sitting on this island and your loved ones over there, at least having some form of communication is a major comfort, and you cannot underestimate what it means to people to have that. Even though we're talking about a very small number of Irish citizens, it's still very comforting. Okay,
the voice there of Senator Niall Blaney. You're also hearing from Mary Hart, broadcaster and journalist, and Suzanne Rogers, a journalism course director at Northwest Regional College.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
Fury as Irish beef prices lag behind South America. In this week's Irish Farmers Journal, factories come under pressure to lift beef prices ahead of World Cup demand. Farmers banned from burning bushes in 2023. €50,000 grant to refurbish derelict houses opens. Department looking at options for farmers locked out of agri-environmental schemes. Find out how much you can be paid for scrub next year. Plus, don't miss a 10-page tractor special inside this week's Irish Farmers Journal. You cannot afford to miss it.
Connolly's Audi Sligo are returning with their Future Now test drive event, taking place this Saturday 19th and Sunday 20th November at Letterkenny Golf Club. Call in from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. We will be showcasing our fantastic range of cars for the entire weekend. To avoid disappointment, order your new 231 Audi today with Connolly's Audi Sligo. Visit connolly's.ie to see our full range.
The Central Hotel, Donegal Town presents the Essentially Shared Tribute Act this Christmas. Enjoy Cher's classic hits and the perfect Christmas party night on Friday 16th of December. Tickets online at centralhoteldonegal.com. Book now and share in the Christmas spirit with Essentially Share at the Central Hotel, Donegal Town.
Adult Safeguarding Day takes place this month. An important step to prevent adult abuse is to respect and support everybody's right to decision making, including if someone is frail or living with a disability or serious illness. It's also essential to respond to adult abuse. If someone is at immediate risk of harm, call 999 or 112. If worried about an ongoing concern, contact your safeguarding team at hse.ie/safeguarding. From Safeguarding Ireland, supported by the HSE, safeguardingday.ie.
Shop for toys from all the leading brands this Christmas at Foy's in Ballybuffet. Great value on all the latest toys, ride-ons, bikes and Bear go-karts. New deliveries arriving every week. Great offers on best-selling brands like Lego, Brooder and Schleck. From Cocomelon to Gabby's Dollhouse, you'll find great gifts for everyone on your list with a visit to Toys at Foy's Ballybuffet. Pay in 3 easy instalments with Klarna and shop local this Christmas with nationwide delivery at toysatfoys.com.
Don't miss a night of the Country Stars live in concert on Monday the 5th of December in the Mount Errigal Hotel, Letterkenny, featuring Jimmy Buckley, Brendan Shine, Patrick Finney, Olivia Douglas, Declan Nerney and your host and compere David James. Tickets now on sale from hotel reception and online at Eventbrite. That's Monday the 5th of December at the Mount Errigal Hotel.
And you're very welcome back to the programme. Big conversation happening, not necessarily in the wider public, but perhaps it is about sort of the future of journalism and Twitter's role in that. And there's a lot of uncertainty, I suppose, as to where things are going. Just curious, Suzanne, as a journalism course director at Northwest Regional College, what are you telling your students now about the the future of journalism, and the public are making their own choices as to where to source their information.
Well, there's no doubt at all. There's been a huge change in journalism over the past even 10, 15 years, and certainly since I started all those years ago in the Derry People and Donegal News. I tell my students I used to, for my sins, cover Letterkenny Urban District Council for many years. That council meeting would have been on a Monday night, and the first people would have known about it, really, of what had happened, would have been on Thursday when the Derry People and Donegal News came out. Now it's instantaneous. I mean, Highland Radio itself, because I worked in Highland, was a huge part of that as well, because reporters would have been going to the meeting on the Monday night, and it would have been the headlines on the Tuesday morning. So that was part of that sea change. It's been huge.
Can I just add something there, though, you see? And this is why, certain types of journalism, I think, like regional journalism, local journalism, because I can tell you for a fact right now, if you hadn't gone to that, even if it was last Monday, if you hadn't gone to the Urban District Council meeting or whatever it was called, I can't remember off the time, no one would have been tweeting about it.
No.
Do you know what I mean? Even now, do you know what I'm saying? So...
Yeah, I mean, there has been a huge change, and the significant shift in journalism has been towards, I suppose, journalists finding their own stories, creating their own stories, doing their own investigation. So I think to that extent, it's been good because there's no new news. Anything that happens now is almost instantly on Twitter, whether it's true or not. And that's another issue. But I think the change that has been in journalism is that journalists are being tasked now to think about what the issues are, to go and investigate those issues and to highlight those as well, because it's a different story. It's a news story. It's not something that everybody has. And that's been a good thing. I mean, there have been positive things as well. We've seen the rise of this citizen journalism. And for a while, that was where it was at. You didn't need reporters anymore. You didn't need journalists because we were all telling each other everything that was going on anyway. Of course, that's been hugely discredited because of false stories being out there, and people are starting to be sued for things that they've said and done. So I'm seeing that there's going to be a return to that. Interestingly as well, we're seeing a return to long form journalism as well. Those newspapers, and everybody's concerned about the future of newspapers, but those newspapers that are concentrating on long form, what we used to call features, in other words, taking an issue and really shaking it out and talking to people about it and doing some analysis, those are doing much better than the ones that are trying to compete by doing the short, sharp stories.
Yeah, I think to anyone who wants to know how to run a newspaper, a successful newspaper, needs to look at the Irish Farmers Journal. Pick your subject, be accurate, be detailed, have a lot of information, and you have 380,000 readers a week. The audience is there if the product is right. Mary, obviously you've been involved in journalism for a long time. I think one of the concerns I have is, and I see it more and more now, is mainstream journalists, who are supposed to be the reliable sources, competing with Twitter to try and be first. A perfect example was the rockets landing in Poland today. National journalists very quickly saying, Russian missiles into Poland. This is going to be very interesting. Now, you know what I mean? That it was very easy to check that information. And very early on, it was very clear that something had gone awry here with either defense systems or, in fact, Ukrainian missiles. Sometimes I think journalism can be its own worst enemy, the mainstream journalism.
I think it's the instantaneous situation that has caused, obviously, things not being cross-checked and verified. I go back, like Suzanne, I go back to when there was no local radio in Ireland, only pirate radio stations, and the only legitimate local radio stations in Ireland was in Derry and Radio 4, where I went to work in the mid-80s. The only other was RTE. So there's absolutely no competition, let's say, for instance, in Ireland in terms of who got to the news first. The pirate stations were obviously eventually all legitimised, and we saw then Highland Radio come on air, which has been an excellent, we don't have to say that, but we have to make sure people are aware of it, that has been an excellent source of news locally and nationally. I am one who will argue as hard as I can, for strong journalism. And for cross-checking facts. I don't do Twitter. I never have. I don't like it. I don't get it. And I know that I will be proven right, that it has been a complete, too many people got involved in it. It's not reliable whatsoever, as you say. I argued as well, working within BBC, that organisations like the BBC, who were funded by licence fees and nothing else, that they should not have got into the game of getting numbers, and rather than doing it properly, checking the news and being correct and being truthful and balanced. And that's what's gone out with all of these social media platforms. Listening this morning to, and I know people who work with Twitter, that they've been locked out of their offices. They've been told you'll be working almost 24/7, and if you don't like it, get out. And I think most of them are getting out, if they but they won't get out obviously without having a big argument with Twitter, and I think Google and Facebook are all going to be going down the same road. We'll just see a sea change. I think now is the time for people like Suzanne, who are in a position that they can guide journalists properly into the workforce and into the environment I think the traditional platforms such as print media and proper radio stations like Highland will come out into their own, and eventually people will say, well, look, you know what, that's where we go to get our news. And I think that is what's happening.
But do you think though,
generally do go to
sorry Mary, there's a slight delay on the line before bringing Niall in though. Do you think that though, in the race to compete with the likes of social media, we have a to some extent a bias media in Ireland now? I mean, you can tell the leaning of a particular paper dependent on which paper you pick up. One minute you look at a byline under a newspaper headline, a national newspaper headline particularly, and the next time you hear the name, they're working for Fine Gael or Fianna Fáil.
That's always been the case. There's nothing new in that. That's totally the case. I worked with the Irish Press. It was a Fianna Fáil newspaper, and my grandparents would have turned in their grave if they had known that I was working with the Irish Press and De Valera newspaper. Which was wouldn't have been allowed into a Fine Gael house. So the Independent were always seen as the Fine Gael newspaper, and the Irish Times was the proper newspaper. But it's always going to be like that.
Suzanne, you want to come back in there? Sorry, go ahead, Suzanne.
Sorry, no, I'm just going to say, just as an aside, years ago in Donegal, there were two journalists who worked for two rival papers, but they actually lodged in the same place, and they only worked half a week each. Now, this is the story, because they gave each other a copy of whatever event they were out covering, knowing full well that the people who read one paper weren't going to read the other paper, so they were never caught out. So that was always the story. But I think it's important to say, look, the genie's out of the bag. There is no way that we're getting rid of Twitter or anything else at this point. And what we have to do is manage that, and the journalists have to make what use they can of it, because it is a good source of stories and it can be a good way.
Well, what breaking news is now on TV is journalists, BBC, Sky News journalists, standing in front of a camera in front of Number 10, reading tweets off their phones.
I think it's too glib to say that.
That's exactly what happens. With all the biggest story in Britain this year has been Liz Truss's mini budget, and has been her, the whole confusion over politics over there. And they were I watched, because I watched a lot of news. They were standing there reading Twitter off their phone. I'm just saying, if I were educating students, right, I would try and be moving them away from that. But anyway, maybe it's a sweeping statement.
You can't ignore it. It's there. It's a tool to be used. It's another tool in the armory to be used, and it's a good way of seeing what is of concern to people, what people are interested in, and what they're worried about. And as journalists, that's what we've always wanted to know.
Well, we don't know what the future of Twitter is, because they've locked all of their staff out of all of their premises across the world at the moment. So they're operating a service to 250 million people with no staff on site. So it should be an interesting couple of days. Now, Blaney,
I don't think it's going to be around for much longer. That's my view of Twitter. Something else is going to come in to take over in that whole role.
Yeah,
TikTok is what.
TikTok is where it's at. TikTok is where the influence is happening. Is on TikTok, and you're spot on, Suzanne.
But it's fun. TikTok is fun.
TikTok is terribly addictive. Niall Blaney, I'm not sure how big your TikTok following is or your social media following for that matter. You like to keep it safe on Facebook, do you?
Yeah, well, I try to keep it relevant as much as I can, Greg, and throw in an odd light piece here and there along the way. I suppose I notice you're referencing TikTok as being a young person's platform, and you threw yourself on there, but I won't comment on that.
Oh yeah, no problems. I
But
fit
no,
right
I
into
think
their
I agree
demographic.
with Mary in relation to Twitter. Actually, I think Twitter has gone quite toxic, and I would agree. It probably could be very easily taken over by a similar new platform, and I wouldn't be surprised if that happens, because the direction at the moment at the top in relation to the ownership of Twitter is all over the place, and you would fear that it's going to end on a bad place for them. But moreover, I think that the one thing that we have to do for the next generations is ensure that journalism is protected to the very last, to ensure that we do have independent journalists across the board that can go out there and write articles with fear or favour. That's a fundamental principle of our democracy, and long may that continue. There are times that you do talk to the odd journalist that does have a fear of writing certain articles, and I think that's sad, and maybe we need to do more to protect people that are in that position and feel that way. But moreover, social media has brought news to a whole different level, because nowadays there's a feed for every minute of the day, and you wonder with the evolving of time, will that stand the test of time? Because nowadays everything is an awful rush, similarly with our news stories.
But even within social media, you might have, say, for instance, use the Donald Trump example.
Yeah,
he just created his own social media when he didn't like what was going on other social media, and that's fine. He's got his money and resources to do it. But really what it is that people want to operate in a space now where they are just patted on the back, elevated, people who agree with them. There's no debate or discourse or on social media anymore. You have your view, I have mine. We'll back and forth for 2 or 3 minutes. You'll call me a name, I'll call you a name, and then I'll block you and we'll never see each other again. And then I'll just end up surrounded by people who nod and agree with everything I say. I try and avoid that, but that's what social media is. You end up surrounded by like-minded individuals. There's no room for growth or debate there.
But what you said there, you've just hit the nail on the head in relation to Donald Trump. Somebody can come along with money and dictate the news of tomorrow, and that's not good for democracy. And I don't know how we change that, but it's something that I'd like to see change into the future and evolve.
All right, caller says Simon Coveney or Mary Hart on your panel doesn't speak for me or my children. Our neutrality is in the Constitution. Well, it's not really, actually, to be honest with you. They've no right to say otherwise. You would think to listen to our leaders, we are a superpower. Putin must have a right giggle every time they speak. The smart politicians in Europe are only using Ireland. I wish Leo Simon and the likes would stop talking about Russia now. It's embarrassing. Well, I mean, but as I say, we aren't constitutionally neutral. If it was America invading Ukraine, it would be a different story on media, American the Great and so on. But because it's Russia, it's all one-sided. We're talking about journalism there, and in relation to that, Suzanne, like we are all obviously very motivated and involved and choosing the right side of history with Ukraine. But we all do, and media in particular do, ignore what's happening in other parts of the world. Just because it's bad Russia and the world's against them, we're behind that. But what's happening in other parts of this world to other people that are backed by the likes of the United States and others, and we turn a blind eye to that. I mean, if journalism was going to be truly of the people, fair and honest, they would give equal platform, would they not, to equal situations. But that doesn't simply happen.
That point has been made and has been made repeatedly, that if you're white and from Europe, then you're going to get a lot more column inches and a lot more airtime than if you're in a sub-Saharan country where climate change is...
Is it really about the victim or is it about the perpetrator? I mean, look what Israel does. And yet, that's fine. Supply them weapons, buy their stuff. That's fine. But if it's Russia that's doing it, well, then that's bad.
Well, it comes back to, I suppose, ownership as well. And we know, too, that a lot of the big media outlets are in the hands of a small group of people. And I suppose it brings me right back to the social media thing again, insofar as that there is a role for that in highlighting those things. And just exactly what you've said there, some of the atrocities in Palestine would never have seen the light of day if it hadn't been for things like social media and people reporting on those, and the likes of Storyful, who do a fantastic job in highlighting some of those issues. But media doesn't exist in a bubble. Journalism is not something ethereal and out there and somehow above society. We are part of society, and we are subject to the same influences, biases, and controls that the rest of society has as well. What we can do as individual journalists is to try and fight against that and try and shine that light. And yes, you're right, it is about the perpetrators, but think about who are the major owners of the big companies, the big media companies, the broadcast outlets, the journalism outlets. That can be an issue there. And okay, you can talk about the likes of the BBC. And I do have to just interject as well and say, don't forget Radio na Gaeltacht at a time when there wasn't anything else there, and it was Radio Foyle and it was RT, but Radio na Gaeltacht, they were doing a sterling job at the same time. So you can't think of media and journalism as being separate from society. It's subjected to the same biases, prejudices, influences, and controls as the rest of society. And I suppose
you're making a really good argument for social media there. That's what I'm hearing, I'll be honest with you, because if you want to avoid what you're talking of, you go to social media and you'll get that for all of its flaws.
I think you need both, because social media, and I agree with you, it's an echo chamber. I have to be on it because of my work. I hate it. I think Twitter is absolutely toxic, and I am a little bit of a TikTok addict, I have to say. But I think it's about checks and balances. It's about issues being raised that need to be raised. And also, I think it's no bad thing insofar as newspapers, broadcasters, and all the rest of it are afraid of not being relevant anymore. So they have to at times take on issues that have been raised through social media and then run with them. And I'm just looking at something this morning, and not to get into it because it's legally fraught, but the activities of a particular person which have been highlighted totally on social media. And I just see today that it's broken in the Daily Mail is highlighting as well. I know that sounds very cryptic.
No, I don't know the story, but I'm interested now. Just 30 seconds, Mary, for me. Sorry, just one of your views, a bit of hypocrisy in terms of what the media can be outraged by.
Yeah, I mean, we bear in mind social media, it's in the word social. It should always have been for social purposes and not for any other reason, but it has developed into becoming a news platform, not for any good reasons, but for bad reasons, because people what I say, to people is, you just think that, a lot of the gossip and the conversations and the toxic comments are what you would hear from people that you would never mix with. But you do actually hear it because they're on social media, because, you wouldn't give them the time of day and their arguments at the time of day. But like, you look at Brexit and you look at Donald Trump getting elected, and that has been the work of Facebook and social media platforms being manipulated, as they have always been propaganda tools. They are propaganda tools for those who use them.
Mary Hart, thank you so much for your time as always. I really appreciate it. Take care of yourself. Suzanne Rogers, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for your time. Hopefully we'll have you back on the programme in the not too distant future. And last but not least, Senator Noel Blaney, thanks for your time as well today. Please look after yourself. All right, we'll be back with more after the news and obituary notices.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Do you need to switch your Ulster Bank loan or overdraft? We are now offering competitive low-rate switcher loans and MyCU current account with overdraft.
True comfort food. What is that? Food you can enjoy a bit more because you know you can trust it. Like pork and bacon with the Boardbia quality mark. It's reassuring to know someone's always out there inspecting how it's produced and where it comes from, so you can enjoy a tasty rasher sandwich, a carbonara, or delicious roast pork. Always choose pork and bacon with the Boardbia quality mark for the highest standards, verified at every stage. And for recipes, visit boardbia.ie/pork and bacon.
Flu and COVID-19 vaccines will give your immune system the top-up it needs to help protect you from serious illness. That's why children, older people, healthcare workers, and anyone with a long-term health condition are invited to get their recommended flu and COVID-19 vaccines. Visit hse.ie or call our team on HSE Live on 1800 700 700 to see what vaccines are recommended for you and make sure you and your family are protected in the months ahead. From the HSE.
New this week in Home Store and More. All our Christmas table linen is half price. That's right, half price. Time to get Christmas ready with festive patterns for the table that is at the heart of every home. But better hurry, because when all our half-price Christmas table linen is gone, it's gone. Also, all Christmas tree lights are still half price. But when our half-price Christmas tree lights are gone, they're definitely gone. Drop by your local Home Store and More or visit us online at homestoreandmore.ie. Home Store and More. A happy home.
Heading out on the town tonight? Doing some shopping tomorrow? How do you know that the door staff or security guards are vetted, trained and licensed? Individuals licensed by the Private Security Authority must wear an identity badge displaying their licence number and their photo. Unlicensed door staff and security guards face prosecution and fines. To report unlicensed door staff or security guards, visit psa-gov.ie. Issued by the Private Security Authority, the security regulator.
It's not just that Sammy has lost his home in the conflict. It's not just that everyone he's ever loved is gone and he's been forced to walk hundreds of miles alone to find safety. And most of all, it's not just that Sammy is only 7 years old. Like thousands of children in regions torn apart by conflict, Sammy is living in fear, and it's not just. This Christmas, your love can make all the difference. Visit trocre.org or call 1800 408 408. Trocre, until love conquers fear.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's 10 o'clock. Donald Kavanagh at the news desk. The man on trial accused of the murder of Buncrana woman Danielle McLaughlin in Goa in March 2017 has been granted bail. Vicat Bhagat has been in custody since 2017 and was subsequently charged with Danielle's murder. His trial has been ongoing now for 4 years. Earlier this week he was denied bail following the death of his father, but the High Court has now granted bail on humanitarian grounds, allowing him to attend and perform the last rites of his father on next Friday and Saturday, November 25th and 26th. There's a security alert in Strabane this morning. Police say they're in attendance in the Mount Carmel Heights area. The road is closed. Motorists are advised to avoid the area if possible. As of now, no homes have been evacuated. A Donegal senator says he doesn't believe expelling the Russian ambassador would be the right thing to do after over 50 Irish politicians were banned from entering Russia this week. Senator Niall Blaney told Greg Hughes on today's 9 till noon show that a retaliatory expulsion of the Irish ambassador in Moscow would leave Irish citizens there without representation. He also confirmed that he is one of those on the banned list.
I got a call last night, Greg, from the Department of Foreign Affairs to inform me that I was on. I had a right chuckle at it, to say the least.
What did you do to upset the Russians, Niall?
Not very much. I stood alongside the Ukrainian ambassador and I spoke up on it back earlier this year. That's what I amounted to.
A West Donegal councillor says if safety measures are not put in place to slow down traffic in Loughnure, there could be a tragedy. Councillor Micheál Cullumcille is urging Donegal County Council and Transport Infrastructure Ireland to ensure traffic calming measures are implemented on the main street. He says recent road improvements have led to increased speed. And Councillor Micheál says local residents are justifiably concerned.
The community there would talk to me on a very regular basis about the concerns in terms of the speed going through Loughnure. Unfortunately, but fortunately in the sense that we have a new road there and a good cover on the road, and that increases the speed through the village. But we need to get measures into the village to slow traffic right down. It is unfair on the people of Loughnure to have to be scared out of their wits every time that they're out walking or their kids are walking to anywhere in the village and fear of anything happening.
National Broadband Ireland says over 3,000 premises in the wider Letterkenny area can now order or pre-order broadband on the National Broadband Ireland network. The company says the NBI network is now live in Letterkenny with 3,036 premises eligible. With more, here's Donna Marie Doherty.
Over 33,000 premises are included in the state's intervention area, which will see National Broadband Ireland deliver minimum speeds of 500 megabits per second to homes, businesses, farms and schools. In total, Donegal is set to receive €128 million of government investment under the National Broadband Plan. National Broadband Ireland Ireland does not sell fibre broadband directly to end users, but makes its service available to all broadband providers. Creasla will be the next area to be connected, with summer of next year the anticipated completion date. Most areas of Donegal will not be connected until 2026. More details on our website highlandradio.com.
A public campaign on the dangers of spiking would both raise awareness of the offence and also awareness of the punishment that's carried with it. That's according to Junior Minister Josepha Madigan. Spiking someone's drinks or by needle can result in a 3-year prison term. Of the 147 reported incidents of spiking nationally since January of last year, 60 were needle related, while 66 were drink related. Junior Minister Madigan says it's vital that people keep an eye out for spiking, particularly as people celebrate over Christmas and New Year.
It's really important that we have an information campaign that could encourage vigilance among people working in the nightlife industry, in Garda Síochána, and the general public of the dangers and the signs of spiking. So some of the signs will be somebody might be unusually drunk, their vision might be blurred, or they feel dizzy or nauseous. They might have difficulty speaking or keeping their balance.
Mostly dry and bright today, according to Met Air, and some good sunny spells, particularly in the afternoon, with top temperatures of 7 to 9 degrees Celsius, moderate to fresh west to northwest breezes. And that's Highland Radio News. We're back with news headlines again at 12 noon. Until then, from the news team, have a very good morning. The obituary notices for this Friday morning, the 18th of November. The death has taken place of John Moore Sr., the Glebe, Clooney, Portnew. His remains will repose at Chauvelin's funeral home, Sandfield, this evening from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m, followed by private removal to his residence. Funeral from there on tomorrow Saturday afternoon at 1:15, travelling via Castle Goland Beach to St Connell's Church, Kilclooney, for 2 o'clock Requiem Mass with burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. House private to family and friends, please. The death has taken place of Willie Dixon, Ballynahone, Fawn. Willie's remains are reposing at Liam and Teresa Dixon's home, Ballynahone, Fawn. Funeral from there tomorrow afternoon at 1:30 for 2 o'clock funeral service in St Maurice Parish Church, Fawn. Interment afterwards in the adjoining churchyard. The death has taken place of Desmond McGeogan, Tierna League, Carndunna. Removal from Liam Collins' funeral premises, Cooldaff, this afternoon at 1 o'clock, going to his cousin Patrick Collins' home at Letcher, Cooldaff. Funeral from there tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock for funeral mass in Sacred Heart Church, Carndunna at 11, travelling via Tierna League with burial in the adjoining cemetery. Donations in lieu of flowers to the Donegal Hospice, care of any family member. Desmond's funeral mass can be viewed live on carndunaparish.com. The death has taken place of Mary Frances Brennan, Bayonne, New Jersey, and Mina Cross, Dunlow. Funeral mass will take place in St Mary Star of the Sea Church, Bayonne, New Jersey, at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time today. The death has occurred of John the Moss Carr Doemore Fanad. John's remains are reposing at his nephew Pat's home at Doemore. Removal from there at 2:30 tomorrow afternoon, arriving at St Mary's Church, Fanavolti for 3 o'clock Requiem Mass, followed by burial in the adjoining graveyard. The Requiem Mass can be viewed live via the St Mary's Fanavolti and St Columba's Massmount Facebook page. The death has taken place of Philomena McClune, Birdstown, Ballandrate, Lifford. Philomena's remains will repose at her late residence from 12 noon until 10 p.m. today. Family, close friends and neighbours welcome, with house private please on the morning of the funeral. Funeral from there tomorrow morning at 20 to 11, going to St Patrick's Church, Murlock for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass, which can be viewed on clonellyparish.com. Family flowers only please. Private cremation will take place later. The death has taken place of Hugh Donaghy, Cleena, Ballymcgann. Funeral from McLaughlin's funeral home this morning at 10:15, going to St Mary's Church, Cockhill for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass, with burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. The death has occurred of Brian O'Donnell Jr., late of 5 Riverside, Ardnagrania, Stranora and Admiram. Funeral from Ardnagrania this morning at 10:30 for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass in the Church of Mary Immaculate, Stranora, with cremation afterwards at Lakelands Crematorium, Cavan at 3 o'clock. Requiem Mass will be streamed live via the parish webcam. Family flowers only, please. The death has taken place of Fidelma Gallagher, Railway Road, Stranorder. Fidelma's remains will repose at the family home on Main Street today from 12 midday to 10 p.m, with family, friends and neighbours welcome. Family time, please, at all other times and before the funeral. Mass of the Resurrection in the Church of Mary Immaculate, Stranorder, at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning, with interment afterwards in Drumbo Cemetery. Donations in lieu of flowers, if desired, to a charity of your choice, care of any family member or Martin McGowan, McGowan's Funeral Home. Requiem Mass will be streamed live on the parish webcam. For more details, including any family health guidelines for wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook, and at highlandradio.com.
All right, Seamus Gunn's going to be joining us shortly, answering your legal questions. And later on, Michael and Fanula will be in with us for That's Entertainment after 11. And also between 11 and 12, we've got a really exciting announcement as it relates to Highland Radio's Mega Car Draw. So stay tuned for that. You won't want to miss it. Thank you so much for all of you texting in. I had a little bit of a chuckle to myself today because, you know, loads of people have booked their tickets to Qatar and they're going over to watch the World Cup, and English fans and other types of fans and what have you. And they were supposed to be allowed to drink booze within a certain radius of the football stadiums. Qatar today have banned all drinking at the World Cup. So really quite clever. They've got everyone to book their tickets, make their plans. Many people would have gone thinking, right, well, we can have a drink when we're over there. But they have banned boozing around the football grounds. Really interesting that. It'll be the first time a lot of people from a lot of countries will have watched a game sober, I would say. A caller says, can the Irish people expel some of our politicians out of our own country? It'd be great. Okay. Time to think about pulling affiliation to Ukraine when their president is still out trying to spin the lie that it was a Russian missile when it was clearly a Ukrainian missile. He can't be trusted. I don't think whether or not you can trust someone or not pivots on this. He says he's sticking with what his generals had to say. I think it was a Russian-made missile. However, it ended up landing in Poland, I don't know. But I don't think one incident really would be the catalyst for changing a whole policy, would it? I don't know. I think no matter what Russia does, we should keep the diplomatic channels open, says this caller, and their officials here. Unless, of course, they're videoed singing ooh, ah, up the rah. Then definitely they have to go. Another, ignore Putin. He's evil. He purposely stirs things up to use Ireland as a launching pad. Another, perhaps you could inform your guests, read the comment on the Nazis and German ambassador during World War II. Not only were the German diplomats permitted to continue to operate, but De Valera donned his top hat and tails and marched off to the German embassy to offer his condolences on the death of Hitler, the only world leader to do so. RTDs have forgotten Ireland is a neutral country, and if we are hit by Russia, then any damage or deaths will be on their heads. What about the wars in the countries that have been going on for years? No media coverage. It's all Russia, Russia, Russia. I mean, you know, I know it's quite easy maybe to come to the defense of Russia and all this, especially if you're anti what, you know, Western governments are doing. But listen, go over to Russia and see what kind of treatment you will get over there. It's not a particularly nice country. It never really has been. And I don't really think they're very welcoming of people at the moment, even if they claim to be supporters of theirs. That being said, too, our proximity to Britain is our greatest danger. I can't imagine Russia taking any interest in targeting us directly. Another caller says, we're not neutral anymore because we've weak men leading our country, lapdogs. We are to Europe. These weak men want more power and to bring our young people to war. Shame on them. Hi, Greg. They're talking about trusting Russia. What about the missile in Poland? Tried to blame Russia without checking. It came from Ukraine. That happened on social media primarily. I never saw much traditional media coverage of it being a Russian attack on on Poland. That's where I saw it being spun like that on Twitter. But that being said, it also was journalists from mainstream media, in inverted commas, that were actually spreading that. And as I said, I tweeted very soon afterwards pretty much exactly what it turned out to be. There's a rush to be first. Take your time, check it out. You know, there's no people just want stuff that's reliable and real. A caller says, Niall Blaney's right about keeping the doors open regarding Russia. We're supposed to be a neutral country, and the only way we can help is to try to be in a position to facilitate peace talks. You don't fight fire with fire. I worry about our young people who might be forced to face a sure death in a futile war. I don't agree with Mary. She thinks full steam ahead regardless of who you squash in the process. It's okay. Now, that's probably not what Mary meant, but that's what you took from her comments. Another caller says it would be no bad thing if the Russians lifted most of the politicians here and took them all off for a few years. Maybe it would waken them up a bit. Another, Niall is on the list because he jumped on the populist siding with Ukraine. He picked a so-called democratic country, yet asked where the opposition leaders, they are in prison, real democratic. There are some people really, I don't know if they always had, but certainly appear to have a poor view of Ukraine, which we're seeing more of now. Wake up, Mary Hart, during what? I've read that one already. Thank you. Hi, Greg. Niall Blaney mentioned about standing side by side the Ukrainian ambassador, but his brother Liam is totally against housing these poor Ukrainian women and children fleeing their country and homes in fear of their lives. It's big to come on your show, Greg, and say he's standing side by side with people, and it's just totally not true. Great show. Thank you. First thing, this is one thing I'm really passionate about. You're not your brother's keeper, okay? So whatever, just because you happen to be related to someone, it doesn't mean you have to defend them or justify their comments or whatever. Also think you've probably gone a little bit too far in your assertion of Liam Blaney's opinions. He says that we're kind of full here. We don't have the services. It needs to be reviewed. We need to make sure that these people are living in appropriate accommodation. But I understand what you've taken from his comments, but I've interviewed him a couple of times. That's the point he's trying to get across. But again, as I say, just because you're related to someone, it doesn't mean everyone's an individual in my view anyway. Ukraine just bombed Poland and the Ukraine president knew it, yet pushed the NATO action and still is pretending it's a Russian missile. Surely he should be punished for bombing the bombing of a NATO country. I think the general consensus is that he didn't bomb a NATO country, but their air defences strayed into Poland. I think we should keep quiet and hope things will settle down. They have to settle down or they will escalate. I mean, there's only two ways this can go. The likelihood is they will use the slowdown in winter, because of course the conditions are absolutely brutal over there. They'll use that as an opportunity to try and come up with some diplomatic solution to this, or the other way. It blows up into something that none of us will be saved from. A caller says there's a huge amount of state-owned property lying derelict that could be done up as accommodation for people in need. Can you ask Niall why the sudden interest in proving the cause of deleterious materials when, let's face it, IS 465 was put into place by government via a desktop study and refusal of pre-legislative study? Surely it's worst case scenario where houses should be granted option 1 until proof otherwise is established by government. Good morning, Greg. He's talking about Nazi Germany. The neo-Nazis are fighting for Ukraine. What is this woman on about? They have a neo-Nazi army wing. She leads with her feelings, not facts. Right, okay. But everyone has facts, don't they? And the truth lies somewhere in between. Last November, Senator Blaney praised the new scheme in the Shannon, slammed those who criticised it. Now he hopes more money is made available. Another, just before we take the bingo numbers, Greg, the difference between a modular home and a mobile home, the cost of a modular home is 50 grand. Decent mobile home would cost 15 grand. A modular home is permanent. A mobile home is semi-permanent. Modular homes are stronger built homes, last a lifetime. Thanks, Greg. Marianne. Look, anyone who has sheds, modular home is like precast. It's got a floor. It's got 4 walls, right? Maybe it has internal walls, insulation, sink, beds, chair, electricity, roof, heating. Mobile homes offer kind of the same, right? But I mean, it's a very different type of accommodation. I lived in a mobile home for a long time back in the day in building a house. You know the way people used to do that. I know what it's like. It's not pleasant at times. Maybe the more modern homes are warmer. I don't know. But a mobile home in winter would not be as an attractive proposition to me as a modular home, which can be taken down and moved elsewhere. But there seemed to, not across the panel, but certainly, maybe it was across the panel, seemed to think that they weren't a good idea. I wobbled a bit at the beginning about that as a solution, but to be honest with you, speaking to people that it would benefit, they changed my mind. They made me think, right, okay, I don't know enough to have that opinion. My opinion has been changed.
It's time for NCBI Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Friday, the 18th of November. You're playing on the yellow sheet. The reference number is S10. It's game number 46. The numbers are 14, 36, 15, 81, 69, 50, 65, 80, 13, and finally 55. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your NCBI bingo information at highlandradio.com.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Do you need to switch your Ulster Bank loan or overdraft? We are now offering competitive low-rate switcher loans and MyCU current account with overdraft.
Live like a Bosch at Irwin Expert Electrical. Call in-store in Letterkenny or Buncrana to view a range of Bosch home appliances from ovens, hobs to washing machines and dryers. With over 20 years experience and expert advice, make it Irwin Expert Electrical, Letterkenny or Buncrana. Find us on Facebook.
The High Kings, celebrating 15 years together as Ireland's favourite folk group, are back at the Millennium Forum Derry on the 26th and 27th of January. Tickets available from Millennium Forum box office and millenniumforum.co.uk. Presented by Joe Gallagher Entertainments.
Sheridan Security now introducing Zero Wire Smart Alarm Systems. Zero wire, zero mess, and a real peace of mind. With a simple press of a button, your alarm can be set or unset, or download the free app and control it from your phone. Call us today on 074 912 6025 and get your alarm from €299. Stay local, stay safe, and protect what you value most with Sheridan Security Systems.
Dillon's Hotel, Letterkenny is the perfect place to celebrate special occasions. Dillon's exclusive function rooms cater for up to 120 guests for any occasion, from corporate celebrations, presentations and networking events, to milestone birthdays, anniversaries and retirement parties. There's audio-visual equipment, integrated PA systems and even a private bar. Dillon's Hotel, perfectly located in Letterkenny Town Centre with award-winning food and 5-star service. Call 91229977.
Shrink your Christmas bill at Dunnes Stores. Give your guests the best with 20% off wine and champagne. And make hosting easy when you mix and match any 3 for 2 on luxury party foods, like baked Irish ham and smoked cheddar vol au vents, or brie and cranberry tartlets. Plus, with our 10/50 grocery vouchers, you save even more. Dunnes Stores. Make Christmas for everyone. Terms and conditions apply. Voucher can be used on next grocery shop of €50 or more. Voucher excludes alcohol. Please drink sensibly.
At Cooney's, we have quality suites, chairs, tables, beds and mattresses, all at fantastic value. If you see it, you can buy it and we will deliver to your door in time for Christmas. Call into Cooney's at Letterkenny Retail Park.
This Sunday is World Day of Remembrance for Road Traffic Victims. So let's remember the 24,814 people who've died on Irish roads since records began. Your remembrance service takes place at Milford Public Services Centre at 6:30 p.m. To find out more about this day of remembrance, visit rsa.ie.
Hello, this is Liz O'Donnell, Chairperson of the Road Safety Authority. I want to share with you some serious road safety figures. Last month, there were 12,546 drivers detected for speeding and 727 drivers arrested for driving under the influence. But what I'm most concerned about are the 12 people who died and the 79 people seriously injured on our roads in October. That's 12 people who are no longer with their friends or family, and 79 people whose lives may be changed forever. Help us stop such needless loss of life and injury. I'm asking drivers to slow down and never ever drink or drug drive. Visit rsa.ie.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the programme this Friday morning. I do hope you're very well, and I'm delighted to welcome onto the show now Seamus Gunn from McLaughlin Gunn and Company. Good morning, Seamus. How are you keeping?
Morning, Greg. Yes, thanks. Nice to be with you. Yeah, kept okay. Yeah.
Good stuff. All right, okay. Now, before we get to some questions, and thanks for keeping us busy on those as well, to 086 60 25,000. An interesting article during the week because we were all under the impression that the new systems to sort of I suppose, to police and maybe cap payouts for insurance claims would then lead to cheaper insurance premiums for us. Now, what has happened, I'm not quite sure we're getting cheaper insurance premiums, is we are seeing the profits at motor insurers rise to a record €176 million in 2021. So, in your view, what's going on there?
Yeah, I think that this is one that's going to be commented on by many in the coming weeks, and it deserves to be, because for a number of years now, since the introduction of the Personal Injuries Assessment Board, and that act came in 2003, and it was then implemented the following year, the personal injury system has been regulated by that. It has been updated by way of books of quantum to give guidelines on the awards that should be made for victims that are involved in accidents and are entitled to compensation. And for a long time, we have been hearing from insurance companies, in particular the Insurance Federation and their representatives, that it was the cost of claims that was linked to the premiums that we're all having to pay, and year on year they were increasing, and that's well enough documented. Not as well highlighted is the fact that year on year the profits of insurance companies have also been increasing. So the two just don't really marry. And this is quite interesting in that this report only came out, as that you mentioned there, during the week. But the backdrop is that about a week or 10 days earlier, was the minister, the responsible minister, Callery, came out with a great announcement that PIAB, that the new personal injury guidelines were being implemented to such an extent that awards were dropping quite drastically, up to 44%. The actual payouts, that was what was coming from PIAB as a result of the introduction of the new judicial guidelines, which came in April 2021. So we always, ourselves and lawyers and people who have been sort of observing this and dealing in the industry, have wondered as to how this cannot be, why the profits cannot be passed on and the savings to the actual consumer, you and me. Now, to further assist this, there's a new piece of legislation in the pipeline called the Personal Injuries Resolution Bill, to give further powers to PIAB. So it seems that the unfortunate person who's being penalised here is the victim, the person who is entitled to compensation through no fault of their own, and to reasonable compensation for the injuries or damages they have sustained as a result of somebody else's negligence. But on the other side of that, at some stage, somebody's going to have to step up to the plate and inquire from the insurance company, how come that the average premium last year was 23% higher, from compared to 2009. So premiums are going up all the time. Claims have actually come very far down from 2009, and yet premiums continue to escalate.
Yeah, but what's happening is what
was passed on last year just finally, yep. In 2021, there's been across the board a decrease, it is said, of 2% on the cost of a premium, and that's as much as the consumer is getting. And you'll remember also, just as a passing comment, during COVID, if we look at the road traffic situation, thankfully there was an awful lot less accidents, so there was bumper profits to be made there because there was nobody on the roads, and there was thankfully again very few accidents or casualties arising out of that. But it doesn't seem to be addressed in the same manner that for so long they were addressing the type of awards that were being handed out, and we're saying that this was the result of the premiums, and I just believe that does not ring true.
Yeah, and it's almost as if we're being expected to pat government ministers on the back for further lining the pockets of insurance companies. Like they're actually looking for credit for just boosting their profits off the back of victims, as you mentioned, and as you say, there's very little benefit to the person renewing their policy.
Well, there isn't any, Greg. If any of us look at our policies over the last few years, I can't remember ever seeing a decrease in it, certainly in relation to occupiers, public liability, etc. They have gone through the roof over the past number of years. It's there to be seen. Everyone nearly has experience of it. Anyone in particular in business who is nearly out of business because of the crippling cost of having to get public liability insurance on their premises. But yet you read these headlines and they speak for themselves. Operating profits for 2021 climbed to 176 million, up 5 years in the previous year, which were up on the previous year and the previous year. And yet the premiums, they're making these profits. They're not being handed back. They've been given every assistance by government to cap awards. They weren't satisfied with the first book of Quantum. They got another book of Quantum, and then they got the judicial guidelines in last April. And now there's a new resolution bill to give further powers to PIAB to hold on to cases for longer, to be able to check, to be able to assess psychological type impact on victims, which they used to have to immediately issue an authorization on, and to retain session of a case or a claim for beyond the 9 months period for which they're statutorily obliged to assess it. So they're getting all these assists, as it were, but it's the person, the consumer, who's been, first of all, been hit by heavier premiums, and the victims whose damages are being reduced.
Yeah, can I like to put things into context for myself in my own head. And it helps me understand precisely, or not precisely, what's going on here. Now, it's probably not even, maybe it's conflation, I don't know, because I'm comparing one thing that's very different to another, really. But let's just put it like this. We have a very, very small country, the size of a city in Britain, for an example. It's a small population, and we have insurance companies making 176 million in 2021. Just as a comparison, Lidl, in the entirety of Britain and Northern Ireland last year, made profits of 41 million. Now, fair play to them. They quadrupled them from about 9.7 million the year before. But it could have been Aldi. I always mix them up. My apologies. But my point being is you've got a major retailer like that there, very happy to make 41 million euro over a year, over a population in Britain alone in England alone, I think, of 65 million. And yet we have companies here off our backs, a very small population, and when you weed out children and older people and those not in business, the amount of people they're making this money off the back of, it's absolutely scandalous.
Yeah. Well, I think for a change, we're on the same page in this one, Greg, and it is a novelty. I'm sure it won't continue, but. The size, the population is a reasonable point. The comparison is reasonable. The Greater Manchester area is about the same population of the Republic of Ireland. That's just what we're talking about here. So if it's entirely disproportionate. You'd also question the competition in the market, the difficulty for, if you're in business, getting quotes from alternative operators, if you're looking for public liability, or if you have a history of, unfortunately, of having a claim, and the loading that goes on you, how you're penalised, how you have to try to come to terms with that to keep a business going, to keep staff employed. It's penal. And then to think at the back of it all, then, if you are unfortunate enough to be a victim and entitled to reasonable compensation, that you're now going to be capped on that as well, and still paying through the roof for your premium. And during the COVID, I think, did you receive a 25 or 30 euro back?
30 euro Dunn's Super Value. It's 30 euro Super Value voucher.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, well, you get more than any of the big supermarkets if you shop at them for a couple of days.
Also, like, I'm sure maybe everybody knows, and this maybe you've not even been part of this conversation, but you talk of loading, and just back to car insurance, there's a 56% loading on motor insurance for anyone under 25. Just there's no wiggle room on that. It's a 56% loading on anyone under 25, just simply to get on the road. And this is from same companies that are making 176 million euro per annum
across the board. But that is not receiving the same attention, nor being addressed in the same manner that the unfortunate people that are on the side of requiring compensation, being entitled to it, as a result of somebody else's negligence.
Yeah.
The finger has been pointed elsewhere there, and I would like to see a little more scrutiny on that, rather than the sound bites that the minister comes out with saying awards are down 44%, etc. But where is that money going to? Is it coming back to the consumer? There's a lot of them have their doubts.
Well, we know it's not, because we know premiums are level or going up, albeit marginally, or down very slightly, and the profits are going up. So I'm not very good with maths, but I think I can work that one out. Right, Seamus Gunn's going to be answering your questions after the break.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
Aldi's amazing Secret 6 buy one get one free weekly Christmas offers are back. And this Thursday's unmissable 2-for-1 is a delicious specially selected panettone. Just $7.49. Choose from classic or chocolate chip. You pay for one and get two. So with value this good, you can have your cake and eat it twice. Aldi. Make Christmas amazing for everyone. Hurry while stocks last. Terms apply. See aldi.ie for details.
Brian McCormick, Sports and Leisure, Main Street, Letterkenny. Your favourite brands with the best advice on running. Cloudflow and Cloud Swift in new colours just arrived. Energise your stride with a new Hoka Bondi 8 for men and women with softer, lighter foam for enhanced durability and comfort. Step into a pair of waterproof Gore-Tex trainers from Asics and Brooks. Join our Christmas club by opening an account today at Brian McCormick Sports, Main Street, Letterkenny.
The High Kings, celebrating 15 years together as Ireland's favourite folk group, are back at the Millennium Forum, Derry on the 26th and 27th of January. Tickets available from Millennium Forum box office and millenniumforum.co.uk. Presented by Joe Gallagher Entertainments.
For great fuel deals, contact Gortley Sales and Hire. Large sacks and trailer loads of logs. Also briquettes, coal, kindling and gas with free delivery locally. Contact Gortley Sales and Hire in Letterkenny on 9126276.
Uh-oh. Looks like last-minute Liam is in a spot of bother. He missed out on saving up to 50% on expressway coach tickets and guaranteed seats by not booking them early enough online. But not to worry, Liam. Lucy booked them in advance instead. Now all you have to worry about is not forgetting Lucy's birthday. Oh dear. Silly Liam. Offer applies on Route 32 between Letterkenny and Dublin. Don't be a last-minute Liam and Lucy. Book your tickets in advance online at expressway.ie.
Let Joe McGee Butchers feed your family with their 5 for €20 deal. Choose from our fantastic deli range. Lasagnas, cottage pie, chicken curry and soups. Just a sample of our fine products, all made in-store only at Joe McGee Butchers, Letterkenny and Glencar shopping centres. Find us on Facebook and Instagram.
Candles, lanterns, Christmas trees, decorations and all types of lights. Everything you need for Christmas. Experience the magic of Christmas at Cooney's. Our biggest and best Christmas shop has outstanding value on lights and trees. There really is something for everyone at Cooney's Letterkenny Retail Park.
Okay, Seamus Gunn is still with us, of course, from McLaughlin Gunn and Company, and we'll give you some contact details as well a little later on. Let's start with a question about wills, because, of course, Seamus, as you know, we get a lot of inquiries in that regard. If you're named in a will but aren't the executor, what are your entitlements regarding viewing the complete will? You're muted there, Seamus. Sorry, if you don't mind just popping that off. Good man.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a very common question actually in ways, and sometimes it can give rise to some disharmony among beneficiaries who believe that because they're named in a will, they're entitled to see it all and see it nearly immediately after the passing of the individual who's put the arrangements in place. The point that you have to, I think that's very important to bear in mind. The executors, whether singular or plural, they're the person charged with the responsibility of dealing with the affairs of the deceased. And that's an onerous enough responsibility, but it's up to them to deal with the estate, to gather in the assets and to distribute the estate in accordance with the arrangements that are made. Now, those arrangements, the caller obviously is included in the arrangements. The party, at the discretion of the executor, now, and I'm putting a little emphasis at the discretion, but if the discretion does not favour disclosing the entire of the will, that's quite in order. It'll be my view that a beneficiary is entitled to see the part of the will that is relevant to them and relevant to them alone. It may be a family situation where the other approach may suit very well, and it can often do for the sake of good relations within the family. But if the executor or executors see fit, they are quite entitled to not disclose the remainder of the will, but to inform the beneficiary of the bequest left to them and in the terms in which it has been left to them. And that is as much as they're obliged to do. They then are obliged to gather in the estate and to distribute it among those entitled, and then to take in and obtain proper receipts to discharge them from their obligations and pay any debts. But I think the aspect that's relevant to the beneficiary is what they're entitled to get.
Just on will, Seamus, I mean, how has how we deal with them changed over generations? Like, is there a better way? Because, I mean, I think by their nature, there's always going to be maybe upset or division. Not always, sorry. There's always the potential for upset or division or questions or what. Like, is there a better way? Are we stuck doing something an old-fashioned, traditional way? Because a lot of the language very much feels like that. Or is it the best? Is it like democracy? Is it the best of a bad bunch?
Yeah, it's a very interesting point to put out there in this context. You are putting that forward as a proposition from one living and maybe someday be in a situation where it will affect you in some way, maybe a beneficiary, maybe appointed as an executor. What we can overlook, and it's human nature, is this, that it is the person who has passed away. It's their actual privilege to put whatever arrangements they see fit in place. And then the obligation falls on the party left thereafter, such as the executor, to fulfill those obligations. And that's where it can get difficult, because people naturally, human nature, what it is, may have expectations, may have had expectations of the deceased, may have been hopeful that the deceased may have remembered them in their will, etc. And that's where the disharmony can come in, and that is unfortunate. But you have to divorce yourself from that, and as it were, park that, and consider what you're about here. You're not about trying to ameliorate some party's disappointment because they haven't inherited something from an estate. That's not your duty or anything but. Your duty is to protect the wishes of the deceased and to discharge their estate as they wanted to do, and to respect that throughout. And that's the difficulty. Is there a better system? If there is, and I don't know of it, I have thought about it, but I don't. But if you're asking about an improvement, straight off the top of my head, I would have this suggestion. I've had it for some time, but it's fallen on many deaf ears. There should be a form of a central register nationally for wills, whereby if I make a will, and we do make plenty of arrangements for people, that then I can key in and register that discreetly as being that person has made arrangements and is held by the firm of X, Y, or Z. So that, like looking up something like RIP, or the family can make an inquiry and go to a central national register to see that, oh yes, there was a will made, and even maybe the last date, nothing more than that, but there was, and they can access that information, so they can. And obviously there'd have to be rules and regulations as to how and whether you're entitled to know, etc. But that could be put in place. But the reason being this, it's very simple. With the mobility of people nowadays, the world becoming so much smaller that even in this country, if somebody's living in Donegal and they're posted then to Dublin or whatever, may have made arrangements here, and then they permanently live in Dublin, move on to Cork during their lifetime. It's very difficult to trace where they could have been, with regard to a law firm who might have acted for them. Some people may have several law firms acted for them,
and the name could have changed 2 or 3 times in the process too, depending on
all of that. All of that applies, and therefore, I think that it's folly and foolhardy as to why this wouldn't be looked at as being a sensible approach, because it would rule out the possibility of someone having arrangements made up in Donegal and further arrangements made somewhere else, and then one not knowing which is the actual last will and testament. And that situation has arisen too. And it would also relieve an awful lot of grief and anxiety for those ones that are bereaved. So they'll be able to know, there'll be a bit of certainty, and it's hard to beat that whenever you're dealing with these type of situations.
All right.
That'd be the only point I can think of. But as far as making your arrangements, I think that they're paramount and to be respected and to be carried through. And it's the deceased wishes, not the wishes of the beneficiaries or the family or the next of kin, that you have to observe.
Understood. Could you ask Seamus, what's the situation regards a divorce I had granted a couple of years ago and ownership of a family home? I have not received paper from the family law as regards change of ownership to me. I phoned family law regards same and have no return call. Please can you advise me? And P.S. I'm a senior citizen.
Yeah. Communication is key in these situations, Greg. It's key in most and maybe nearly all professions. And it's very helpful, and it can eliminate an awful lot of problems. The individual should obviously go back. They've mentioned it's the family law centre. So if the case was adjudicated upon and they've been fair, they have said that it was, and that a divorce was granted 2 years ago, there will have been an order drawn up by the court, and they're entitled to get to access that order to see the terms of it, and then to follow up on the terms and conditions of it. If one of them was a property adjustment order where one was to have the property transferred over, that may have been incorporated in a direction to adjust the property registration authority registration, and will be lodged with them to change the ownership. That should be possible to be checked out. They have to really return though to the parties representing them in the actual action. The point about calls, etc., I'm not going to comment on that. It's a matter of them getting access to the order and then following through the terms and conditions of it, especially in a situation like this where it has already been adjudicated by the courts. Now, just in relation to that, because we're mentioning on the divorce situation on the family law, this week it was great to see Minister McEntee making an announcement that there's going to be a new family law court system to be introduced in the country, which probably is long overdue in that it will separate the family law division to some degree and have from the other workings of the court, such as criminal matters, civil matters, etc. It will probably set aside a particular day and a particular courtroom for dealing with that only. And it should be a little bit more user-friendly and to deal with more non-contentious family law matters. So that's a very positive step. It will have its own presidents, such as the president of district court, circuit court, high court, etc. And the judges will be trained in the disciplines needed in order to deal with the sensitivities that arise in such family law matters. And probably what's key of most will be that the welfare and the interests of the child will be taken as completely paramount, which it should be and generally is, but there'll be big emphasis on that, and it should be more user-friendly and have a specific courtroom of its own. And in the likes of Letterkenny, where there's first-class facilities available, it'll be great to see that coming in.
Yeah, for sure. If a separated lady has been on her own, living in the family home for over 30 years, but the ex-husband will not put house in her name, has she rights of ownership?
Interesting. What she says is contrary to what the last caller phoned in about, in that she has already gone through the process and she hasn't actually finalised it yet. Well, she's got a divorce some 2 years ago, she's saying, and yet the property matter hasn't been followed through on. Here we have a situation where it seems that the parties have been estranged and living apart, one of them in the family home for upwards of 30 years. But it also, from what I gather, she hasn't taken any action to regularise this position at all. So has she got rights of ownership? She may very well have. I can't comment on that. I'm not sure what way the property is registered. Is it joint name, sole name? What equity is in it? But she's certainly there. She's there 30 years solely herself. She has definitely entitlements and probably a lot of equity. But what she will need to do is she will have to, if she's getting no cooperation and she states she's not, she will now have to instruct her solicitors to pursue the matter through the family law court to obtain, if she wants, a judicial separation and divorce, and then get what the last person was ringing in about, a property adjustment order to direct that property to be dealt with in the separation. And if there's an issue, or if the other party is claiming an equity in it, well, they can put that before the court, and it can then be decided. But that's the only way she's going to actually get it into her own name, as matters stand, in relation, as there is a family law background to it. But you would want to start taking some action.
So what is the suggestion then? As soon as a separation has happened, and it's clear that is going to be the long-term future, is it too, as uncomfortable as it might be for some and maybe not for others, to sort of sort stuff out as soon as is possible, Seamus?
Yeah.
Rather than trying to kick the can down the road. Like, I mean, obviously you'd always want to leave maybe space for a reconciliation if that's relevant, but if that is not going to be the case, you need to get all this stuff sorted as soon as possible, presumably? Yeah, and especially where there's family involved as well. You do require final orders, but you're hitting at something that is quite frustrating, in that once the order is made, it has to be followed through and implemented, and the terms and conditions followed through, to bring finality and certainty to where the parties are moving forward, for their own sake and for the sake of any children that are in the family. So that's very important, that it just doesn't stop at the door of the court when the order is made, but that the orders are followed through. And where there has been awful complications in recent years is where there are mortgages on properties which are held in joint names, and the property is then to go into the name of one of the parties, and then you have the involvement of financial institutions, and that can give rise to having to go back to court for further directions. So it can become quite complex, and they're better getting some advice on it from their representatives. But the key to it is to follow through on the orders. All right, just want to read this one while you're on the call before you go. It looks like higher claim payouts would provide more profits for the legal profession, so maybe it's as broad as it's long.
Yeah, that's a comment that we have heard before too, and it has been trotted out as sort of ad nausea as well. I have a good idea of what prompts it and where it comes from, but keep this in mind, Greg, that point that's been made, if fees and legal fees are being paid by insurance companies, it's the insurance companies are taking responsibility. There's no point in paying the piper and then complaining about the tune. It's they who are paying it. And if they pay it, they can defend these type of cases and put money into them. That's also their prerogative to do so. But whenever they pay fees to people who are correctly entitled to them, they can't come back afterwards and say they have a problem with that. And that's what seems to be happening.
All right, that's Seamus Gunn of McLaughlin Gunn & Co., Letterkenny in Remelton, where the physical offices are. Also available to get in contact online. Seamus, how do people do that?
Yes, Greg, DonegalSolicitors.ie or keepitsimple.gun.ie. We're here to help.
All right, look forward to chatting to you again really soon, Seamus. It feels like a while since we spoke, but maybe I was off or something.
We just missed,
I don't know.
There was a couple of complications with a couple of Fridays there we both had, I think.
All right, okay. Good stuff. Well,
it won't be very long. Definitely before Christmas.
We'll not leave it as long. Thanks very much, Seamus. Seamus Gunn there, okay. Stay where you are.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Do you need to switch your Ulster Bank loan or overdraft? We are now offering competitive low-rate switcher loans and MyCU current account with overdraft.
Early Childhood Ireland National Pajama Day is on Friday, November 18th. Children in preschool settings are sponsored to wear their PJs, raising funds for autism charity As I Am and an exciting new project for children in the early years sector. Settings, register today to take part. And parents, National Pajama Day is about children helping children and having fun. So please give what you can. Visit earlychildhoodireland.ie/pajama-day for more information.
Have a great night out with Daniel O'Donnell live at the Millennium Forum Derry on Tuesday 15th of August 2023. Tickets go on sale on Saturday 19th of November from millenniumforum.co.uk or telephone 02871 264455. Priced from £44.50 and £39.50 inclusive of redevelopment fee. Booking fees may apply. It's the perfect Christmas gift for your loved ones.
Treat your family or friends to a hamper this Christmas from Kelly Centra, Letterkenny. Kelly's have great hampers to suit all budgets, including luxury hampers, available to collect or deliver. Also vouchers for Kelly's award-winning diner or Circle K fuel at the forecourt. Great gift ideas at Kelly Centra, Mountaintop, Letterkenny. Call 91-22026.
Never queue again with Scan and Shop on the M&S app. Simply use your phone to scan and bag items as you go, then pay for your food shop directly from the app. Easy. Download the M&S app today. See marksandSpencer.ie for details.
Connolly's Audi Sligo are returning with their Future Now test drive event, taking place this Saturday 19th and Sunday 20th November at Letterkenny Golf Club. Call in from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. We will be showcasing our fantastic range of cars for the entire weekend. To avoid disappointment, order your new 231 Audi today with Connolly's Audi Sligo. Visit connolly's.ie to see our full range.
Mr. Blue Sky, please tell us why. The Euro Millions jackpot is an estimated €55 million. Play responsibly, in-store, in-app or at lottery.ie. The National Lottery. It could be you.
Okie doke. Coming up after 11, we have Michael and Fanula talking all things entertainment. That's entertainment. We have UB40, a member of the band UB40 on the programme as well. We'll be chatting to them. And also with some exciting news as it relates to Highland Radio's big car draw, the mega car draw for Christmas. That's all coming up. I want to actually give you a mention. No, actually, I'll come back to that. I'll mention that in the next hour because I got an email in here. Hi, Greg. Could I highlight an issue, please? And of course you can. As you know, the main road through Creasler has now reopened. For the past 6 weeks, the school buses had to use an alternative place for picking up, dropping off children. When we heard of the reopening, we contacted the local bus operator and were shocked to hear that they were now reverting back to old pickup points from this morning. They informed us that they were directed to do so by Bus Éireann and had no choice in the matter. I dropped off my children this morning. The area where the children are being collected is directly opposite where the explosion happened just 6 weeks ago to the day. Although there is a hoarding around the scene, part of the building is still clearly visible. There is an area near the bus where flowers have been left to commemorate the victims of the explosion. Certainly at least one of the children using the bus was seriously injured on October 7th. And no doubt others have been traumatised considering the fact that 2 of their schoolmates were killed. Surely Bus Éireann could have found an alternative bus stop. Surely they should have considered the mental health of the school children. The schools have put every possible provision in place to help the children affected. Is this now going to be undone by a company with no empathy for children of the area? Hugh, thank you for that. Yes, of course, the children. But it could be the bus driver. It could be the parents dropping off outside that site. So what I'm going to do is make some inquiries. We're going to, actually also touch base with the community representatives to see what they think as well, but also to contact Bus Éireann. This is the type of decision that should have been made in consultation with the local community. Was it or was it not? I don't know. It sounds to me perhaps like it wasn't, and I think, Hugh, you make some very strong and valid points there, and it's something that we'll chase up. It seems, as I say, unless it were, I take my guidance from the community and its leaders. If they believe that this is the right thing to do, well then who am I to say otherwise? It doesn't sound to me like a decision that was made in consultation with the community. Again, I'm very much open to correction and I will correct it if I am wrong. 086 60 25,000, that's the WhatsApp or text number, or give us a call on 07491 25,000 if you have an input into that. Okay. It is 3 minutes to 11 on this Friday morning. I hope you're very well. It is the 9 till noon show, the last show of the week. Let's take a break and we'll come back with news.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
Adult Safeguarding Day takes place this month. An important step to prevent adult abuse is to respect and support everybody's right to decision-making, including if someone is frail or living with a disability or serious illness. It's also essential to respond to adult abuse. If someone is at an immediate risk of harm, call 999 or 112. If worried about an ongoing concern, contact your safeguarding team at hse.ie/safeguarding. From Safeguarding Ireland, supported by the HSE, safeguardingday.ie.
At Very, Black Friday has arrived. Shop all deals you love in one place. Save on home, electricals and fashion finds. Plus free click and collect on most small items. And those special Christmas gifts sorted. This Black Friday, shop the brands you love, all in the one place. Shop Black Friday at very.ie.
Christmas is the season of giving, but it can be difficult to know who on your list wants what. Save yourself the guesswork by giving the gift of choice. Whether you're buying for the foodie, fashionista or homebird of the family, they'll love a Dunnes Stores gift card. They can choose from everything we have in store and online, from fashion to homewares to groceries. It's the perfect choice to make this Christmas. Visit dunstores.com for details. Make Christmas for everyone. Terms and conditions apply.
If you know the beauty and skincare product that suits you best, you'll find them at McGee's Chemist Letterkenny. From moisturisers, cleansers and toners to day creams and night creams, McGee's have the top brands you know and love, like Lancôme, Clarins and La Roche-Posay. Also Elizabeth Arden, Vichy, Nukes and many more. All at McGee's Chemist, Main Street, Letterkenny, and online at mcgees.ie, where the best costs less.
At Ulster Bank, we have now begun to close current and deposit accounts. At this time, if your notice period and your deadline has passed, your account is now queued for closure. You must take action now. If you are still relying on your personal or business bank account and in need of support, please contact us immediately. Visit ulsterbank.ie, your local branch, or call 0818 210 260. Call costs may vary and calls from mobiles may not be free. Ulster Bank Ireland DAC is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
The award-winning Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic Udor now offers a wide range of skin boosters. The injectable moisturiser for under eyes that improves dark circles, fine lines and wrinkles. Also treating the face, neck, chest and hands. This amazing treatment works from the inside out, resulting in brighter, smoother, plumper skin. For help choosing the right aesthetic treatment for you, contact Mary Ferry, your aesthetic practitioner. You can download the Genesis app or call 07495 32575.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com.
OK, it's 11 o'clock. Let's get a news update and say good morning, Donald Kavanagh.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning. A West Tyrone MLA says up to 600 homes and more than 1,000 people are affected by this morning's security alert at Mount Carmel Heights in Strabane. Daniel McCrossan says it's one of Strabane's biggest residential areas. There was no way in or out for a time this morning because the scene was cordoned off after local people reported hearing a loud bang late last night. That's now being investigated by police. Mr. McCrossan says the disruption means residents, including nurses and teachers, were unable to get to work this morning. An access point has now been created at the top of Mount Carmel Heights, Bracken Hill, onto the main Curly Hill Road. The man on trial accused of the murder of Bunkrana woman Danielle McLaughlin in Goa, India in 2017 has been granted bail by the High Court. Earlier this week he had been denied bail following the death of his father, but the High Court has now granted it on humanitarian grounds to allow him attend and perform the last rites of his father on next Friday and Saturday, November 25th and 26th. A Donegal senator says he doesn't believe expelling the Russian ambassador would be the right thing to do after over 50 Irish politicians were banned from entering Russia this week. Senator Niall Blaney told Greg on today's 9 till noon show that a retaliatory expulsion of the Irish ambassador in Moscow would leave Irish citizens there without representation. He also confirmed he is one of the politicians on the banned list. National Broadband Ireland says over 3,000 premises in the wider Letterkenny area can now order or pre-order broadband on the National Broadband Ireland network. The company says the NBI network is now live in Letterkenny with 3,036 premises eligible. In total, over 33,000 premises across Donegal will be hooked up by National Broadband Ireland. However, it'll be potentially December 2026 before all of that has been achieved. A West Donegal councillor says if safety measures are not put in place to slow down traffic in Loughnure, there could be a tragedy. Councillor Micheál Columgilla Aspig is urging Donegal County Council and Transport Infrastructure Ireland to implement traffic calming measures on the main street, saying recent road improvements there have led to increased speed. And the junior European Affairs Minister says Irish-UK relations have much improved ahead of Brexit talks in Brussels. A meeting of EU officials is expected to signal to the UK government that long-running issues surrounding the protocol need to be resolved with urgency. Prime Minister Rishi Sunak says he's open to cooperating with the EU on the matter. And we're back with news headlines again at 12 noon.
OK, Donald, thank you very much indeed. Stay with us. As I say, we have a band member from UB40 coming up on the show a little later on. We also have Sean in the studio giving us some exciting news as it relates to Highland Radio's mega car draw. And first and foremost, you could say, we have Michael and Fanula joining us. Stay right where you are.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Now offering mortgages with life cover provided at no additional cost. Letterkenny Credit Union. 9102127.
This December the 23rd, you could own a brand new car worth €30,000. What a wonderful automobile. Highland Radio is giving away a brand new Nissan Juke SUV worth €30,000. Someone, and it could be you, will get a call from Greg Hughes on the 9 to noon show on December the 23rd. You just won a car. Yes, steady on, that could be you. If you've got the lucky ticket, simply go to highlandradio.com, click on the car link, answer an easy question and buy a ticket for €10, 6 for €50 or 10 for €80. Highland Radio's great car giveaway. Surprise, surprise. Get your ticket now.
Fury as Irish beef prices lag behind South America. In this week's Irish Farmers Journal, factories come under pressure to lift beef prices ahead of World Cup demand. Farmers banned from burning bushes in 2023. €50,000 grant to refurbish derelict houses opens. Department looking at options for farmers locked out of agri-environmental schemes. Find out how much you can be paid for scrub next year. Plus, don't miss a 10-page tractor special inside this week's Irish Farmers Journal. You cannot afford to miss it.
Century Complex gift cards are the perfect gift this Christmas. Our gift cards can be used throughout the complex in Backstage Bar and Grill, Century Cinemas and Century Play. Available in-store at Century Complex. Call us on 074 912 1976 or check out our website centurycinemas.ie for more information.
With the ongoing war in Ukraine affecting the cost of energy, many of us are facing a challenging winter. Through Budget 23, Government is introducing a range of supports to lessen the financial impact on families, households and businesses, and will continue to monitor the situation in the coming months to protect those in difficulty. It's important that everyone stays warm and well, but where safe and possible to do so, reducing energy use can also reduce bills. Changes like turning your thermostat down by 1 degree and considering how often you use energy-intensive appliances like tumble dryers can make a big difference. For information on available supports and energy-saving advice, visit gov.ie/reduce your use. Brought to you by the Government of Ireland.
Get glowing skin this winter with the Clarins Gift of Beauty at McElhenny's. Purchase 2 or more Clarins products, 1 to be moisturiser or serum, and receive a choice of 4 free beauty treats and a gorgeous beauty bag. Plus, with a 3rd Clarins purchase, receive 2 deluxe size body products. Hurry! Offer available at McElhenny's until December 3rd while stocks last.
All right, that's entertainment thanks to the Jam, and we're joined in studio now by our team. They are, of course, Fanula Rabbit and Michael Leddy. Both of you, good morning.
Good morning.
Getting you both loud and clear. Okay, good. Right, we have to start with Fanula, Michael. I'm sorry, because Fanula got up early this morning to watch a film. You know, and I mean that
for real.
That
to be honest, I actually stayed
rewarded.
up. I stayed up last night hoping that it would be on, so I could watch it when I went to bed.
So you've had about half an hour's sleep.
Well, no, I didn't stay up that late, but I mean, I was up. This is the new, and you know I'm obsessed, and I may have taken it too far because I may have found the one thing that Ryan Reynolds is not good at.
Acting.
Sing. Too harsh, and you will be punished. No, but his singing leaves a lot to be desired. I woke up early this morning because it didn't drop last night at 12 o'clock. I thought it said it was going to drop today, the 18th. I checked it at 12:05. I checked it at 12:15.
Not there.
No, not there. So then when I got up this morning, I was like, oh my God, is it there? And now, there's a lot wrong with it. You and Michael will probably never watch this movie.
Mm-hmm.
It is a full-blown musical, not just a movie that has musical numbers. It's, I'd say, 70-80%.
So is it that they talk and they want to speak like that? So even when they're just having casual conversations.
It's not quite as far as Les Mis, as in that every word is sung.
Right.
But there's quite a bit of it that is sung in it.
What is the Ryan Reynolds, Will Ferrell dynamic like?
I loved it. I think they definitely chip off each other well, because he still plays that kind of, when you think of Will Ferrell, you kind of think of that slight naivete or innocence that he kind of brings to characters. And then Ryan Reynolds is obviously the complete opposite, as in when he plays anybody, it's always very, degrees of cynical. And that's really what's in it. And this is basically what they've done, is they have taken the Christmas Carol and they've sort of turned it on its head. Now, it was a very brave thing to actually do, because you think the Christmas Carol is such a classic and such a big thing for people, and people love it so much. They put a real modern twist to it, and kind of brought it up into the real world while still keeping the sort of old worldy charm of it. I, not surprisingly, absolutely loved it.
Good.
I can't wait to get home from work so I can watch it again.
Bad.
I feel this is my Christmas sorted.
Right.
But I'm worried I peaked too soon.
Is it because you're feeling Christmassy? How much of this is actually your what appears now to be absolute devotion to Ryan Reynolds? Like, if he wasn't in it...
No, he's actually not great in it.
Okay.
As in, I actually was watching it kind of going... Oh,
is it a Christmas movie?
It is a Christmas movie.
Okay,
Yeah,
sorry.
it
Sorry
is.
about
It's
my
no. It's based on it's
Christmas
as I
Carol.
said, it's got the Christmas Carol kind of as the base of the story, and then they've sort of just flipped it round and they've changed things up and that kind of thing, and they've made it into a musical. Now, the three main singers in it would be obviously Ryan Reynolds, Will Ferrell, and then Octavia Spencer's in it as well. She's quite a good role in it, and she's all singing and dancing as well. To be honest, none of them are going to be releasing an album in the near future. But by the time it finishes, it's exactly what you want from a Christmas movie. Like, there's a lot of things that's wrong with it. You could pick it apart and sort of say, the singing's not great, this is not great, the way it's sort of done.
But then you're missing the whole point, aren't you?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not really... I wouldn't be sitting down watching this with your 6-7-year-olds thinking it's a Christmas Carol musical, they'll love it. It's sort of pitched a little bit higher than that. I'd be thinking kind of tweens upwards, that kind of thing. There's sort of like just a couple of tones through it that would make you think, oh, maybe not, for the smaller children. And they won't get the jokes and stuff like that, because there's some of them are adulterated. But when it finishes, you will be sitting there with a big smile on your face. And that is what you want from a Christmas movie, that you have that kind of a warmth from it.
Has it made you want to put up your Christmas tree?
Yeah, I'm very concerned that I have peaked too soon.
I have
and
already
that
made
I
it.
still have 6 weeks.
I was going to say I've already made a decision when clearly it's not my decision. It's going up probably in a week. I know. But sir, why not?
Well, Christmas lights are going up in Letterkenny next Friday, so I know.
Take that hat off.
I have a load of hats.
Yeah,
I have
I know.
to wear them all.
But
yeah,
you
the
know
Christmas
what?
lights are going up on Friday.
For lots of us, Christmas is difficult because it's a time often where you want to be around people, and sometimes those people aren't with you and what have you. But you know what? There's an awful lot going on, has been going on, and I'm just going to roll with it.
Oh yeah. Well, I totally am now. I have to say it was
just enjoy and let all that. I think there was a time in my life where if someone said they were putting their Christmas decorations up on the 1st of November, I'd have been like, oh my, who cares if that's what they want to do? Brilliant.
Yeah, if it brings you joy.
If you want to get up in the morning and watch Spirited, right?
It did set my mood for the day.
I'm all for it. I think it's brilliant.
It'll be very hard to upset me now today.
So is this actually? This is a different question. Is this
give it a go.
Is this your favorite Christmas movie ever? Then, or that's too much, isn't it?
Step too far there. Step too far, and I've only seen it once, so I need to see it a
okay.
couple more times. But I mean, when you've got Will Ferrell in something, it's very hard to beat Elf.
Yeah.
I mean, it's extremely.
What do you think of the
difficult to go
chopping
through
of Elf through the Tesco ad? Have you seen the Tesco ad with Elf? No.
No.
There's Tesco's big ad is him going to work at a Tesco shop, but it's all chopped in with scenes from Elf. I recall you when we talk about Christmas movies to you go like crazy and start talking about slasher movies and stuff like that. There,
yes.
Is there what we might consider a normal Christmas movie?
Oh yeah,
that is your favorite?
Yeah. Oh, my Elf is a big one because I watched it again a couple of years ago. I watched a lovely TV movie that Olivia Newton-John did a couple of years ago, where she was a store mannequin that comes to life because a little girl wishes she had her mum back for Christmas and stuff like that. And it was so cheesy. But I loved it. And it was like having this perfect Christmas. And then, of course, there was the thing of, will she have to turn back to a mannequin when Christmas is over?
Who knows?
Is there a way that she could stay with this family? Because the dad falls in love with her.
Sounds nice.
It was lovely. I like traditional ones as well. But I'm looking forward to this one, Violet Night, which has the guy from Stranger Things and the Marvel movies.
What did Santi do to hurt you?
So I like both
think
sides.
he wants just to get coal for Christmas now, and that's why he's being all sort of...
Yeah.
Because we all want coal.
I may watch...
Bags of turf or coal, Santi.
Fuel crisis being what it is,
Being
is what he's doing.
No, I may watch this, Spirited, but it's already been a roller coaster for me personally, because Fanula thought it was out last weekend, and I had to vicariously ride along as she discovered that it wasn't out last weekend, and then there was a deep dive. Which led to a Lindsay Lohan Christmas movie.
That wasn't a Christmas movie, but it was Lindsay Lohan's new movie on Netflix.
Why would you put yourself through that?
Because
What were you
I
expecting?
wanted to see what brought Lindsay back. You know what I mean?
But how did
She's
you
been
go from
gone
€50,000
$50,000 probably.
How did you go from Will Ferrell and Ryan Reynolds to Lindsay Lohan?
I was flipping around and I saw it and I thought, oh, what has Lindsay done? This is her new movie, Falling for Christmas, that's on Netflix. Now, with the best will in the world and with the greatest support of all people's jobs, don't do it to yourself.
Okay.
It's like maybe the worst movie.
What's
I've
it
ever
called?
seen. Falling for
Or
Christmas.
anyone out there, have you put yourself through Falling for Christmas on
Did
Netflix?
you like it?
Did you like it, or did anyone in your house like it? Because you might have watched it with other people.
Yep.
Yeah.
But back to Spirited, it's Apple TV. You can get a trial for Apple TV. It's tied into some people's
can.
iPhone contracts. You can't? You can?
No, you can. You
yeah.
can get a trial. It's anybody that's upgrading their phones end of year, a lot of people
exactly.
are. You usually can get it for 2 or 3 months for free. Sadly, I was very excited about it. Remember a few weeks ago we were talking about how it was the cheapest one
Gone up.
of all of them. $4.99, gone up to $6.99 now,
Amazon's
starting
gone
in
up
the
as
new
well.
year.
Right, so Spirited, Ryan
there's a lot
Reynolds,
of good
Will
stuff in
Ferrell,
it for
Octavia
Christmas.
Spencer, who's funny.
Oh, she's very good.
Hopefully she has that vehicle in this film as well. What are you giving it out of 10?
For my first viewing, and obviously at the same time I was getting dressed and running around the house, I absolutely loved it.
Good.
As I said, there's a lot of things wrong with it, but you'll definitely end up sitting there with a smile on your
That's
face.
all
So I'd
you want,
imagine
isn't it?
watching it at Christmas. I would definitely give it a strong 8.5.
Lovely stuff. All right, if you've watched it already, I doubt anyone else has watched it yet, but because of purely the time situation. If you happen to watch
That's
it,
how dedicated Flula
Everybody
is.
could have gotten up early.
this is why I
To the
started with
entertainment
Flula.
Yeah.
Everybody could have got up
I'm going
early.
to start doing that.
Are you gonna watch this?
I'll put it down as a maybe.
No, that's a no.
Oh,
then.
it's a musical.
That's
He's
your
never
no.
going to watch. This one now would definitely push
Yeah,
him
but
over the
the whole idea of what we do here is to push our boundaries of what we do and don't do. Like, all right, if you've watched Spirited or indeed that Lindsay Lohan film, 08660 25,000 WhatsApps and texts, we will throw a mug out there to one of you for texting in or comment on our social media or however you want to get in touch with us. But we'll take a quick break. We'll be back then with a selection from Michael Leddy. We'll go to the cinema, shall we?
Sure.
I just feel it because it's such. Sure. I think with the cinema's a good one because people might be thinking, what can I do this weekend?
Yeah.
And maybe the cinema is you
option.
might tip them over the balance. All right, stay where you are.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
Attention all staff. Clean up on aisle 4, please. That's a clean up on aisle 4. And Jacob, who's popped in for a pint of milk, has diabetes.
We don't always know who's at risk from COVID-19 and other viruses, but we do know how to protect them. Keep hands clean and wear a mask. Let fresh air in, get vaccinated and stay at home if you are unwell. From the HSE, for us all.
On this week's Business Matters, I'll be joined by motivational speaker and owner of the Motivation Factory, Vicky Bradley. So join me, Kieran O'Donnell, for Business Matters on Sunday evening after the 6 o'clock news. The Business Matters podcast is also available to download at highlandradio.com.
Business Matters in association with the ATU Donegal Faculty of Business. If you're looking to reinforce your leadership skills, ATU are offering Level 9 Executive Masters in Leadership and Innovation for private and public sector managers, starting in January. Take the next step in your career and call 9186206 or email donald.hannigan@atu.ie.
SafeTech are running a number of part-funded programs before the end of the year, to include 7-day basic scaffolding, electro and butt fusion welding, HACCP, first aid, fire safety, plant, confined spaces, crane supervisor, UK construction cards and much more. Call SafeTech on 074 912 7786 or visit safetech.ie.
Heading out on the town tonight? Doing some shopping tomorrow? How do you know that the door staff or security guards are vetted, trained and licensed? Individuals licensed by the Private Security Authority must wear an identity badge displaying their licence number and their photo. Unlicensed door staff and security guards face prosecution and fines. To report unlicensed door staff or security guards, visit psa-gov.ie. Issued by the Private Security Authority, the security regulator.
At Volkswagen Commercial Vehicles, we put safety first. If you drive a van for work, you should too. A Road Safety Authority study revealed more than a quarter of fatal and serious injury collisions involving a light commercial vehicle occur between 4 and 8 p.m. Remember, tiredness kills. Stop safely, have a caffeinated drink and take a 15-minute nap. Keep moving safely. With Volkswagen Commercial Vehicles and the Road Safety Authority, help drive safety home. Visit volkswagenvans.ie/advice.
At Ulster Bank, we have now begun to close current and deposit accounts. At this time, if your notice period and your deadline has passed, your account is now queued for closure. You must take action now. If you are still relying on your personal or business bank account and in need of support, please contact us immediately. Visit ulsterbank.ie, your local branch, or call 0818 210 260. Call costs may vary and calls from mobiles may not be free. Ulster Bank Ireland DAC is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
All right, thank you very much. Sorry, you're very welcome back. Thank you very much, Donna Marie's just passed something into us here. I watched Falling for Christmas, loved it. Complete and utter cheese, totally predictable. Everything a good Hallmark Christmas movie should be. All I was missing was a hot chocolate and matching PJs.
Brilliant.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to.
I'm actually more tempted to watch
next
that.
week with a list of Christmas movies from Hallmark that listeners should watch. That was so much better than fun.
I might watch
I watched them all.
Stop fighting with the
No,
listeners.
because I watch Hallmark. But I had a thing years ago in which that's all I would do. I would not allow
Fight with the listeners?
No, I would not allow my television to move off Hallmark Channel. It only stays on there. Now it's gone to Christmas 24, so actually you can. The Christmas 24 movies are in July, and then they start in October. So I've kind of seen them all.
All right, Wakanda Forever.
Yes.
Is this Black Panther or
Black
Wakanda
Panther.
Forever?
This is the
Or
Black
are they
Panther.
two different films? They're the same film, yeah?
Black Panther, yeah. This is the second Black Panther movie. It's a massive international success. It's already the number 11 movie of the year internationally. So it's
It beat Black Adam's entire run in its opening weekend.
It did, yeah. It completely thrashed it.
The Rock was really quite gracious to
He
in
really
accepting
was,
that.
which he is, yeah. And it's obvious that he has a passion for what he's doing, and he's quite happy to see other comic book movies do well. I mean, that comes across in his public persona. So this is the second Black Panther movie. Saw it during the week. We went along on Tuesday night to see it in 3D because it's available in 3D for those who wish to have that experience of stuff poking you in the nose or whatever.
So is Chadwick Boseman in this?
No, he passed away between the making. So this movie, it had the cards dealt. The crew were hard ones to play because they had to deal with the loss of their leading man. Kevin Feige made the decision early on not to recast the role and to simply find a way to pay tribute to the original actor and by having his character pass away. And that's exactly what they've done, which is very admirable. And in my opinion, and in the opinion of critics across the board, it's got 84% on
They've done
Rotten
it
Tomatoes.
right then.
They did the right thing and they did it very well. The movie opens with the character passed away already. It's in that opening moments. We see a little a short scene of his the attempts to keep him alive. They don't dwell on it too much, but the
Did
character
that come out of the blue? Is that connected to the end of the last film?
Out of the blue. Completely
Right,
out of the blue, yeah, out of the blue. They had no idea that that Chadwick Boseman was ill.
No, it was
and-
more or less if they could do something with the ending of the
no,
film.
they
but I
just
understand,
decided. Yeah, I know exactly. Yeah, I know what you mean now. No, they just decided to start it this way. And he's in the film, in the text, it's just that he passed away from an illness, and they roll with it. So they've come up with a new story. The script had originally been written before he passed away, so a new script was written, and now the focus shifts to his sister and his mother, and the emotional weight that they carry through the movie is the emotional weight of grief, having lost their brother unexpectedly due to an illness. And that becomes the core of the movie. And a lot of what Marvel has done in the last couple of years have been built around characters dealing with grief. It happened in the Spider-Man movie. It's happened to Wanda in her movies. It happened to Thor, which was a lighter movie, but it still had somebody, a major character, passing away. So this has been the dominant theme of the Marvel movies and TV shows for the last 2 years. And they've said as much that that's really what they're aiming for. The other great thing about this movie, and there are many great things, is the villain. The Marvel villains tend to be very, very strong. Again, it's somebody that we can like, and somebody, just like in the first Black Panther movie, you have a character who, with a slight tweak, would be the hero of the movie. Like their motivations are very understandable. And again, with the first movie, it draws on real world experiences. It deals with colonization again. You have another indigenous society. It's not Wakanda, but you have another group that also have had basically to deal with American and I suppose British imperialism, this idea of colonization and taking the resources from the indigenous people and obviously going off and monetizing it. So it's a movie that has very much real world awareness in its storytelling. It's a movie that has this element of grief in terms of what it does. But the most important thing is it's a big action movie that looks amazing. Visually, in terms of costumes, it's beautiful. Action scenes, there's a big fight on a bridge, which is spectacular. I've seen the movie twice. I'm going back again to see it. The big fight at the end is one of the best. Marvel sometimes have problems with their third act, but I don't think they have that problem here. I think it works very well, the big fight. So if you're looking for action, and again, people will be going to see this. They're not going to worry too much about it. I think people will have loved the first one. It was a massive hit. There's great goodwill towards the Black Panther movie in particular, as well as Marvel in general. People will be going along to see this. They're definitely going to enjoy it. I loved it 10 out of 10 because it accomplished so much when there was a risk that it could fall flat. The idea of actually making your lead character pass away.
I haven't watched Black Panther, so I might watch that and see.
It's
see
a great
how I
film.
feel.
It's a great film.
Fanula, I mean, you're not going to top that for the love of a film, are you?
No, I'm going to pull it down a small bit.
Always do. We'll give you a rebuttal, don't worry. Go ahead.
No, I genuinely, I really liked it. And there's what Michael talked about is, the action is fantastic in it. It's Marvel doing what Marvel does best. You know what I mean? There's land, sea, air fighting going on in it. You know the way it's just all happening through it. The bad guy is kind of an anti-hero type thing. Is in you can totally see why he is the way that he is and what has led him to be like this.
Fanula did whisper to me, "There's not enough Christmas in this."
So is there shades of good then in these films?
No,
or
it's a very good movie, and it is a very good movie. And in fairness, they've done a lot considering what they were left with. In fairness to the Marvel franchise, the loss of Chadwick Boseman was an unbelievable thing.
So can I ask Fanula, in terms of this being Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, Wakanda's not a character, is it? That's a place?
That's the country. In which
right,
Black
so
Panther
who
is
is then,
the
if Black
ruler, usually.
Panther isn't the superhero, can you divulge who is?
We
or
can't
is that a
really
spoiler?
say, can
No,
we?
it's part. That's the
Spoiler.
whole part
Is
of
it
the
a new
thing.
character or...
It's all part of the thing.
That's the story.
It's
Right,
all really
okay.
what
A
big part of the story is...
Anybody that saw the first one realised
Yeah. The Black Panther is the defender of Wakanda. So in the dialogue, they're like, "What do we do now?
Yeah.
Do we get another?" So that's a story.
Wakanda
That's the story.
is if anybody hasn't seen any of the movies, Wakanda is kind of like a hidden African country in which they have huge resources that they've managed to hold on to, and in particular they have some resources that are found nowhere else on the world in the world, and this is the main thing. And what they have then is they have obviously the king, which was
T'Challa,
Chadwick
which
Boseman,
is Boseman, yeah.
his character in it, and as it happened, he was also Black Panther, who is the defender of that realm. As he passes away, then they've lost both. So what they're dealing with, and in the movie they deal with it really well. I mean, in fairness, it would bring a tear to your eye, even if you've never seen Chadwick Boseman in anything else.
yeah.
They deal with it really, really well. There's just, they cut little pieces of visuals of him, as in people imagining him walking down the corridor. You know the way, little kind of memory type pieces.
But they do it well, obviously.
100%. And there's no, they didn't decide to go CGI and make him, or use footage or things that he said in different ways. So it's really beautifully done. But for me, the only flaw in it is it's kind of like a middle movie. Because of the fact of what happened, when they wrote Black Panther originally, it was written for 3 movies. that was kind of the way that it was supposed to be. And then because he's in the he comes into the Avengers and all that kind of thing in the Endgame and that sort of stuff. So it was written as kind of like an arc. Now, what happened in real life has now completely interrupted the arc of this thing. So what they've nearly done is they've nearly gone back to the beginning again.
Well, they've probably had to. But this is a criticism, 100%. Though, that seems to be levelled an awful lot of these films, that it feels like a block builder or an arc or...
Yeah. Well, this one, and in particular, and like it's fully understandable how they had to. Like, they had this set up in the 3 movies. Chadwick Boseman was set up. If you look back at any interviews at the time when it first came out, he's supposed to be, the first, because obviously they hadn't done Black Adam and stuff like that, but he's the first, black superhero. He's the first, that's been in a huge franchise like this. That's been brought into it. I'd say 90% of the people involved in the movie, extras, everything, are people of color. So this is what this was is what it was supposed to be about. And there was like a 3-movie arc, and it was all about different. Now that kind of got waylaid slightly. There's no reason why they can't get it back on track. But
I think it's still there.
I think this could end up being a 4 franchise movie. Even if
I think we can kind of, without giving away spoilers, you can tell by the ending of this one what the third and final one will be. I think we were chatting about this. It seems like it sets up the conflict that's coming. I think it does.
All right. So what are you giving it out of 10, Fionnuala?
Oh, I absolutely really enjoyed it. It's a beautiful movie, and it's, as I said, it's very sensitively and well done. I definitely think people should go and see it. I probably would give it a good, again, back to an 8, 8.5.
Brilliant,
I really enjoyed it.
Well, listen, if you're looking...
It's got a lot of stuff in it.
If you're looking for something to do for the weekend, you want to go to the cinema for your night out, this sounds like a good one.
Just come with me, I'll be going back.
Go and see Black Adam again.
Well, come here, the big development here is that you are an outlier. Lots of people are enjoying the Lindsay Lohan film. Mary Doherty on Facebook, watch the Lindsay Lohan movie during the week. Definitely easy watching, and it passed a winter's night. Another caller says, I watched the Lindsay Lohan Christmas movie and enjoyed it last weekend. Gets you into Christmas spirit, and it's a good movie to watch with the kids. So it's just
I'm going to watch it. I'm going to have a list for next week.
I'm going to watch it. And I'm probably going to love it.
I'm going to have a list for next week.
I'm kind of intrigued now myself.
Let's watch it, Greg.
The story is kind of like an Overboard type story. You know, the way it's like
Christmas. If you're going to do an Overboard story...
No, it's absolutely fine.
You're just too cynical. You're just too cynical.
You look at Lindsay Lohan and you just think, oh my God, you were an awesome actress. Like, I loved her in Mean Girls. I loved her in stuff that she was doing back in the day. She's had quite a bit of work done.
Yeah. Well, haven't we all?
Quite a bit. So you just,
I
think maybe that's what put me off.
Never had a turkey. All right. Any more reviews of that? 086 60 25,000. Back in a moment.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
Rediscover the real taste of America at Stateside American Restaurant, serving you freshly cooked food in a family fun, friendly environment. Get a delicious 3-course meal for only €19.50. Available all day, every day, alongside our main menu. Full bar also available. Walk-ins welcome, or to book, please call 074 91 13 333. Stateside American Restaurant, Letterkenny.
Keep out the cold, cold, cold this winter and ring Fleming for their full range of garage doors, agri doors, insulated doors, milking parlour doors. Fleming, 91 48 234.
'Tis the season for McElhinney's iconic Christmas windows. Be the first to see our multi-award-winning Christmas windows this Sunday. Join in lots of family fun and festive cheer from 5 p.m. with live entertainment, Christmas carols and much more. Join us at McElhinney's this Sunday to kickstart the festive season.
Whether you're travelling for business or leisure, fly local and choose City of Derry Airport. For a convenient, friendly and reliable service, choose City of Derry Airport. Direct flights to London Stansted, Liverpool, Edinburgh, Glasgow, Manchester and Majorca. Book now at cityofderryairport.com. Voted the #1 airport in Northern Ireland.
The High Kings, celebrating 15 years together as Ireland's favourite folk group, are back at the Millennium Forum Derry on the 26th and 27th of January. Tickets available from Millennium Forum box office and millenniumforum.co.uk. Presented by Joe Gallagher Entertainments.
Donegal ETB's Further Education and Training Fair, the largest event of its kind in the county, is on next week in the Radisson Blue Hotel, Letterkenny. Wednesday evening, the 23rd of November, from 7 to 9, is aimed at Leaving Cert students, their parents, and those in employment looking to upskill. Thursday the 24th, from 10 until 2, is for anyone interested in full or part-time education or training opportunities. This free event is perfect for finding out about the various options offered by Donegal ETB across the county. For more information on Donegal ETB's Further Education and Training Fair, contact the Adult Guidance and Information Service on 9178088 or email adultguidance@donegaletb.ie.
Okay, Legends of Music UB40 are coming to Belfast, the Ulster Hall in Belfast on Friday, the 9th of December. And delighted to welcome onto the programme now UB40 drummer Jimmy Brown. Jimmy, good morning to you.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic, Jimmy. And look at looking at the top of the poster, 45th anniversary UK and Ireland tour. Does it feel like 45 years? I think a lot of listeners will be falling off their seats, thinking, "Is it that long?"
Listen, I fall off my seat every time I think about it, to be honest. You know, I mean, we're still going. I remember doing the very first gig back in 1980, getting up on stage and playing our first show. And we've carried on doing that ever since. So it's all a bit of a blur, I must admit.
Well, that's good. That means you had fun. Now, the thing about it, too, is the music hasn't aged, really. You know, I don't think UB40's music's aged at all. I think if you play any of your tracks now, it still sounds fresh and relevant, if that makes sense.
I completely agree with that. You know, I mean, even though it's probably not my place to say, but I think that what we do now, what we've done it's got that freshness to it, and still has now. And even live, you know, we're not even jaded live, considering how many gigs we've done. So yeah, we still really love what we do.
Going back right to the very beginning, even before the band was formally formed. What drew you to reggae style of music? What were the influences?
To be honest, it kind of reggae chose us rather than the other way around, because we were all living in an inner city area of Birmingham, which obviously had a lot of people from the Caribbean living there. You know, the people that came over on the Windrush convoy and you know, in the late 50s. So it was a very high immigrant area, and next door but one to me, there was like a blues party, what we call a shebeen, going on every Friday and Saturday night. You know, it was the music that was on the streets where we lived, and the alternative was glam rock or prog rock, which really didn't suit us at all. So
I suppose maybe to some extent too, you were bridging communities. Was there any difficulty with acceptance of you doing this type of music from either maybe the Caribbean community or at that time what would have been the sort of indigenous community, if that makes sense?
Not really. I mean, you know, we've never had any problems with reggae musicians. The only people that find it difficult to accept us really were kind of white middle-class journalists. You know, they had a bit of a problem dealing with it. But
they've had a lot of problems dealing with a lot of things. So
absolutely, yeah.
You weren't getting any special treatment there, Jimmy.
Yeah, right. But you know, we're honest about what we do. We're honest about the music. You know, we don't feel that it's pretending to be anything. It's the real thing, and we've got a great relationship with most of our heroes from Jamaica that were obviously our biggest influences back in the day. You know, we've become friends with some. You know, it was a shame to lose Robbie Shakespeare the other day, one of the great bass players in reggae music from Jamaica. He was a friend of ours. Sly and Robbie have been friends of ours for years, and you know, we were just touring with Al from the Wailers and Maxi Priest, and you know, we have a great relationship with all the great reggae artists.
And what names, I mean, and what output they have as well too. It's unbelievable stuff. Looking through the gigs, obviously we can't wait to get you over to Belfast. What stands out for you then? Is Birmingham like the home game, or where else are you looking forward to playing, Jimmy?
Well, to be honest, you know, Birmingham can be quite difficult. It's a bit of a go on then entertain me sort of time, you know. And I know from talking to other bands and other artists that Birmingham is notorious for being a difficult crowd, you know. So it's not really. But I mean, it is because we know half the audience, obviously. Because
of course.
We're such a big band, got loads of family, and everybody seems to be related to us in Birmingham in one way or another. But no, we love playing anywhere. Love playing the island because people like to have a good time, obviously. So it's you always enjoy playing for an audience that's well-oiled, as they say.
Exactly. Come here. Where are you at in the spectrum of enjoyment of music, Jimmy? Do you enjoy it more now? Do you sort of look back to previous times? The Blur, I suppose. You're obviously, clearly, you wouldn't be doing it if you didn't love it, and you love engaging with your audience and stuff. And I think it's the type of band too that you're always making new fans, which not every band can sort of say they can do. But are you enjoying it as much as ever, more than ever now?
More than ever, really, now, because obviously we don't have any of the nerves. I mean, for the first, we got famous really quick. We only done about 30 gigs. All of a sudden, we were in the charts and, in top 5. And, it was a bit of a baptism of fire, really. And for years, we were like getting on stage and really being really nervous and not really enjoying it. I feel sorry for bands who only get like 4 to 5 years at life, because they never get to the point where they're relaxed on stage and enjoy what they're doing. But we love it now. We have a great.
One other question while you mention that. There's some amazing bands that have produced amazing music in the last while. I don't want to mention any names because it wouldn't be fair, but it's almost like they run out of road. They're still there, but they stop gigging maybe because the audience is. What is it then creates the longevity of the likes of UB40? Because you've seen bands that come, hit the stratosphere, and then disappear. I'd almost mention names, and you go, "Oh yeah, I remember them." Right, but UB40 have been ever present on playlists and still out gigging and popular. What's the difference maker there?
To be honest, if I knew, I could put it in a bottle and sell it and become a multi-billionaire. I have no idea why we're still doing what we're doing, but we're still getting the same response we've always had. So. And we're going to carry on doing it while people are going to be bothering to turn up and come and see us, and buy our records. So, I mean, we love what we do. We literally love what we do. So, we're going to carry on to the last, even when we're playing to the janitor and his dog.
Okay, that will be a while. That will be a while. All right, Jimmy, tickets are available now for the gig in Belfast. Don Letts is the special guest there. You can get your tickets at Ticket Tech, isn't it? Ticket EK. Right, okay. And get onto that quick because tickets are going like hen's teeth at this stage. So fair play, Jimmy. It's been lovely speaking to you. Keep going. A real legend of music. Everyone listening has at some stage done something to one of your songs. And it's been a pleasure speaking to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, bye. And I meant dancing or arguing or something, you know what I mean. Right, okay, UB40 fan. You like them?
They're every president, and they are timeless. Completely.
One of the first albums I ever owned.
Because they're
listen to this.
They have their own sound.
I mean, Sean's here. I mean, he's just
karaoke song there. Karaoke song, love it.
Man, he's a UB40 track has been murdered. Sean Quinn of our sales team, the head of it, in fact, is with us as well. How are you getting on, Sean?
I'm very good, Greg.
All right,
Great
thanks
to be
for
here.
calling in. Any special announcements for us, or are you just feeling lonely upstairs?
I like the Friday coming on for a couple of to upset Michael and Fionnuala here, but no, with some great news. We've our card draw, as we spoke a couple of weeks ago, was launched. So we've added some extra incentives, and we've actually gone a little bit bigger again this year, and we've added €3,000 of cash prizes.
3 by €1,000.
3 by 1,000. So 3 people will be lucky to win on the 2nd of December. So basically, if you've bought a ticket already, and if you buy a ticket today, and you buy a ticket from now up until the 2nd of December, you will be in those 3 draws on the second Friday the 2nd.
And also, even if you win the $3,000 or one of the $3,000, then you're still in the card draw. So this is a bit of bonus ice cream here, isn't it?
It's great, and it's a great time because obviously Christmas is upon us. That cost, and will €1,000 will it cover Christmas? It might not, but it'll go a long way towards it, Should be great.
Jeez, I don't know what he does. At
Cover my Christmas.
I know.
And I'll still have change for a pint. But
Clearly,
anyway.
his kids are in for a big Christmas. Whoa, lucky lads.
Teenage boys. What can you say? Teenage boys.
So you, if you get your tickets now, or if you've already bought them as well, by the way, you're entered into these bonus draws. I'll give away €1,000 on the 9 till noon show on December 2nd. John Bresnan will give away €1,000 at 1:30 on Around the Northwest, and David James will also have a grand up for grabs on Jive Time at 3:30 p.m. or thereabout. So get your tickets now. You're still in the draw for the car worth 30k plus, but also now you've got this bonus of three €1,000 cash draws, which will take place across the 3 programs on the 2nd of December, Sean.
Absolutely, Greg. Spot on.
And if you want to check out the car, hopefully by next weekend, it will be available for you to see it in the Letterkenny Shopping Centre. It's a fantastic Nissan Juke. Beautiful car.
I'll throw up a picture of it here. I have it somewhere. Which button? There it is. Look at that. Beautiful black car. Right, okay. So that's that. I'll mention that again before we are finished. I want to see huge interest in this Home for Christmas one, because I know there are people who wanted to come home, but because of the way things are at the moment, the cost of it, it's a discretionary spend, right? So people are saying, right, I'm not going to go home this year. It could be a family of 4 or something. They're thinking, well, if we toddle all that up, how much is that going to cost? And we've got the bills coming in January and February and March. That's real life. That is the life that we're living in at the moment. Not to get too down, because, hopefully everything will be all right. I'm sure it will. But we want to sort of speak to those people. So if you're in Ireland and you've got family in Britain or Europe, and you think that they would love to come home, but maybe just that the money side of things, I don't want to bring that in to embarrass anyone, but just it's a discretionary spend. We want you to nominate them and give us their details and tell us why. Alternatively, if you're listening to us on the stream or watching on the stream or listening on your smart speaker, wherever you are, and also you think that, right, okay, maybe I could qualify for this, you can contact us yourself as well, and tell us why, and tell us your circumstance. In other words, you and your family or whoever, where you are. That's what I mean by circumstance. And email that to homeforchristmas@highlandradio.com. So we want to see, we're already seeing a great reaction to this, Sean, but the more the merrier, because we really want this to make a big difference to as many people as possible this Christmas.
Absolutely. And to date, what we've had is we've had individuals. We've had a nice number. We would love some more, because it makes our decision making even harder, which is what we want to do. But so far it's gone across Europe. We do have one in America as well, but it's an individual person. And it's, I suppose the idea is we can make a difference to get that family home this year.
Has it been expanded then beyond Europe?
It's. We're open, aren't we? We're kind of.
No, look, people should send us in their things. Obviously, we have a limited budget, and we are willing to push that budget to as far as we can for people to try and get deals and see what we can do. So, if anybody wants to send us in for somewhere else, send it in, and we can definitely check it out. Look, what we really want is we want people to get in behind this, because what we'd hope is that this is going to be the first of many years that we will be able to roll this out. This year it's just ourselves that are doing it, which is fantastic, and we're delighted to do so. It's like we were talking about earlier. I think people are really want to embrace this Christmas and get a lot from it, and we here at Highland want to try and bring that to our listeners both here and abroad as much as we can.
Right.
So anybody, it doesn't matter if you're an individual, it doesn't matter if you've got kids, a full family, 3 or 4, whatever, just send it in to us. We will sit down and do the maths, and if we can at all help, that's what we want to do.
Okay, so again, if you're listening to us from abroad or whatever, on the podcast, whatever, and you want to come home with you and your family for Christmas to Donegal, we're going to assist with that in terms of flight and getting you from the airport. Email your name, your contact details, and why to homeforchristmas@highlandradio.com. If you're listening to us across the Northwest, but again, wherever you are, and you've got loved ones or people close to you abroad, and you want to see them at home for Christmas, well, then give us your details, their details, and the reason why, and email it to homeforchristmas@highlandradio.com. There's also now a link on our website page, and you can complete a form there as well, which I think is a good move. Now, you need to crack on with that one, because we're already at the 18th of November, so there's 10 days to get your entries in.
We've had to set the
finale.
Don't we? Yeah, so we've set the date now, which is
Monday the 28th of November.
All right, come here.
So-
There's a couple of things we want to talk about as well. We'll recap all of that. But Fionnuala, what did you want to add there?
Oh, well, I'm very excited because finally, after all the calls I've taken and all the people that have called...
Wait, what is exciting, Fionnuala? You'll find out in about 3 minutes. Text what's exciting her to 086 60 25,000.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
Since she got her free hearing aids with her PRSI at Specsavers, Roisin is a changed woman. Music has never sounded better, and that makes her dance. And dance. And dance. Her singing, though, well...
Free hearing aids with PRSI at Specsavers. Music to your ears. Find out more online. Terms and conditions apply.
For the biggest names in perfumes and aftershaves, visit McGee's Chemist Letterkenny. Dior, Armani and Hugo Boss. Victor and Rolf, Marc Jacobs and Lancôme. Also Gucci, Yves Saint Laurent, Prada and many more. From timeless classics to celebrity favourites, there's a perfume or aftershave for everyone at McGee's Chemist Letterkenny and online at mcgees.ie.
At Centra this week, choose from our amazing mega deals. Like Centra Fresh Charge whole chicken 1.8 kilo, only €5.70. Mix and match on selected chocolates, soft drinks and biscuits, any 2 for €7. And 19 Crimes, Sauve Block, only €8. Smart choices, choose Centra. Centra, live every day. Enjoy cost sensibly.
A massive Black Friday sale is now on at Foy & Company in Letterkenny and Ballybuffet. In Ballybuffet, a huge selection of Christmas gifts and homeware is reduced to half price. In Ballybuffet and Letterkenny, there's big reductions on all rugs, a selection of dining room furniture, mixed paints, end-of-line curtains, cushions and much more. Check in store and online at foys.ie. Follow Foy & Company on Facebook and Instagram for up-to-date offers.
Your next move matters, so why not move better? Start your move to permanent TSB today. Apply in-app for our award-winning current account. So don't just move bank, move better. Apply in-app today. Applications for Explore Current Account in-app in sole name for over 18 personal customers. Residents of Republic of Ireland only. Fees and charges, terms and conditions apply. Awarded Bunkers.ie Best Current Account 2022. Permanent TSB PLC is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Highland Radio have done it again! Buy a ticket to win a car valued at €30,000 before Friday, December the 2nd, and you...
Who, me?
Yes, you will have 3 chances to win €1,000. These draws before the big draw will take place at 11:30, 1:30 and 3:30 on Friday, December the 2nd, live on Highland Radio. Yes, it's that simple. Get your Christmas off to a flyer. Go to highlandradio.com, click on the car link, purchase a ticket, answer a simple question, and we could be ringing you and helping make this Christmas stupendous. Get back on the road.
Beep, beep. Okay, so her face is the exact same as when we went to the ad break. The excitement has not dissipated. Like, how can anyone keep a look of excitement for 3 minutes?
I'm excited. When I'm excited, I'm excited. Plus, I watch Spirited. This is what I'm telling you. I'm in the mood. I'm in the mood
you're
for
sleep
Christmas.
deprived?
Well, that is true. That could possibly be it as well. I may be bordering on delusional due to lack of sleep. Maybe that's what I've done. But I am very excited because I can finally let... It's exactly it. I can finally let people know. For the last 2 years, almost 3 years, I've been fielding calls from avid, I'm going to say, passionate fans of this gentleman. When is this concert going to happen? When is it going to happen? Everything that was going on, we didn't want to put it in when there was an off chance that we might have to cancel it again. We wanted to wait until we were sure. Had many conversations with the management team and everything, and now we have finally set up.
Is it Jimmy Buckley? Actually, I'm a big fan of Jimmy's.
I know. Galway man, I think. I'm a very fan of Jimmy Buckley, but not as big a fan as we are of this gentleman, because as I always say, everybody should see this gentleman. Daniel O'Donnell's concert. Very excited. Everybody knows who I was talking about. Daniel O'Donnell's concert has been rescheduled. We are delighted to announce to everybody the concert has been rescheduled. It is going to be on Tuesday, March 28th, 2023.
So if people had already bought tickets for the original concert, what's the situation there?
Anybody who has tickets for the original concert, they are still valid. So you just will come on the night, the same as you would with anything. Bring your tickets with you. If you had bought them online, you should have your email in which you printed off your tickets. Again, the same as you've done in the past. If you still had a hotel room booked through us, through Highland, now not through the hotel. Obviously, the hotel did their own thing and they refunded.
But if it was
and
a
different
package,
things.
ticket
but
and
if you
hotel
bought a
through
package
us?
through Highland or through our online system, then that hotel room has been at this moment it's been rebooked for you. Obviously, if anybody has any difficulty with that date and it's a problem, they should ring in and let us know, and we will try and accommodate them with a refund or whatever we have to do. But at the moment, it is currently still sold out.
That's what I was going to ask.
Yeah, no,
okay.
I'm hoping that maybe in the new year we may have a few tickets to go back on sale, but we won't be looking at anything, so there's no point in ringing us looking for tickets at the moment. But there's a possibility in the new year that I might have about 50 tickets. I think that's about the number of people that cancelled over the last 2 years that weren't able to go, which was amazing out of 800.
Right, that's brilliant. So Daniel O'Donnell, his concert rescheduled for the 28th of March. All tickets purchased are valid for these dates. Anyone who booked a package through Highland Radio, which included, say, a hotel room or through our web service, that will be honoured. If you've any difficulties with that date, get in touch with us, 07491 25000, and keep your powder dry to the new year, because there might be some tickets made available, but they're going to be small in number and they will be far less than demand might be. So that's exciting news. Michael Flatley, Lord of the Dance, 25th anniversary show.
Well, now that we have the Daniel concert back on our books, we are now looking at possibilities for events or trips or what we may do in 2023. And the first thing that we have online is, because Michael and I are now avid Michael Flatley fans.
True.
We love him. We have posters of him on our walls after Blackbird. Michael Flatley's Lord of the Dance, hard to believe, is 25 years, the anniversary, 25th anniversary of it. And in celebration, in the Bord Gáis Theatre, there is a run of a new version with some of the old thrown into it. On the 23rd of November, we will be taking people there. So the package includes, as it always had done in the past, a hotel, tickets, bus fare, bus ride, all that kind of thing, all included in it.
Now, I'm going to... 23rd of February, of course it is, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I have gone to concerts this year, right?
Mm-hmm.
And between the ticket and the hotel, it's been far in excess of this price point. Not to mention also having to drive down, find parking, whatever. So we'll pick people up effectively, not literally, but from the door. In other words, your door around here, if you know what I mean. Take you down, put you up, concert ticket, take you home for...
€265 is the cost of the ticket, the hotel, and the trip, all in combined.
Price point for
you
Christmas
just,
presents.
as you say, we will have 2 or 3 pickup points. All you need to do is get yourself to the pickup point, and we will take care of you then for the next 24 hours until we drop you back at that pickup point
And if
again.
that wasn't enough,
You'll have
there's
no
also a bit of
thoughts.
time in Dublin City on the morning after the show for a bit of shopping or whatever you want to do before travelling back. In other words, we're not going to chase you out of your bedrooms and onto the bus.
No, absolutely.
As well, which I think
no,
is really
people have always really enjoyed our trips. It's one of the things that we got calls about in recent weeks.
In 30 seconds,
Are we going to be able to do it?
How do people book it? Because we're going to be talking about this, of course.
Yeah, anybody who wants to book it, what you can do is give us a call here. You'll check out the details on highlandradio.com and give us a call here and speak to Katie or myself or any of the girls, and we'll be able to take your details and book it for you. So it's €265. There is a single supplement. Sorry about that, but it's purely just the hotel and that kind of thing. So there is a single supplement of €70. You just need €100 deposit, and then the rest can be paid within a month of the actual
And that's your
journey.
Christmas present sorted for you and someone else. I think it's not in... it's not a tiny amount of money, but having seen how much it goes to see in someone like Ed Sheeran, when you talk about hotels,
Oh my God!
it's
Garth
less
Brooks was like €500 by the time you tried to put a package
Exactly.
together. It was
All right,
crazy.
brilliant. Thank you very much, Fanula. As I say, we'll give people more details of that in the coming weeks as well. Michael, Thank you so much.
Thank
I
you
really
very much.
Appreciate your time. It's
Very
good to have
good.
you with us.
Great to be here.
You've a reassuring head on you. So it's nice to look at it. Thank you. Have a great weekend, everybody. John Bresson's coming up next. Be safe, be happy. If you can, chat to you Monday morning at 9.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Do you need to switch your Ulster Bank loan or overdraft? We are now offering competitive low-rate switcher loans and MyCU current account with overdraft.